coming to you live from wherever. It's the Ticket Booth Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Ticket Booth Podcast. I'm your host, Gwen Bevington. Who we got here today?
Hello, I am Jeff Movie Man, and it's good to be back. And we got a lot of movies to talk about, and a lot of great movies to talk about, and glad to have you all here.
I'm George Arrett from youtube.com/George Arrett, and I, as of yesterday, the day we're recording this podcast, I have worked on my first official short film.
Ooh, let's get a clap for George.
Way to go, man.
My name is...
my dude.
My name is Amanda, and I've come to make an announcement. Shout out the Hedgehog, the bitch-ass motherfucker. So what are we talking about, gamers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some films.
Some films.
Wait, what is this podcast about again?
It's about memes and pornography.
And memes. And sometimes films.
Yes,
I
sometimes
guess
films.
talk about films every once in a while.
Yeah.
But mostly porn.
Yeah, mostly porn.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sallow.
Who's your favorite porn star?
Ron Jeremy.
Anyways, what are our topics again? Something about Nazis.
Speaking of pornos, let's get on to my favorite porn, the Lighthouse.
Oh, yes. It is the best porn.
It's very cute.
Not just porn. Hentai.
It features a 5-minute scene where Willem, Dafoe, and Robert Pattinson fuck each other, and then giant tentacles come out of nowhere, and then it's all... I don't even want to spoil it. It's so rich, and it just shocked me. So I was insanely hyped for this film, even though I consider myself to be not the biggest fan, but I enjoyed it a lot. The Witch, his previous film, I liked it a lot, but I didn't love it. I need to rewatch it. It's entirely need to rewatch. His new film, The Lighthouse, looked amazing, and I grew an insane amount of hype for it. And I saw it, and it was fucking horrible. No, I'm kidding. I'm just fucking with you. I fucking adore this film to pieces. Currently, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but something took down Rocket Man.
Wow.
I cannot believe it either.
Gwendolyn.
Though this was one of the movies that I thought would probably take down Rocket Man. Like that and like Marriage Story and The Hidden Life. We'll see if those ones take it down as well. I thought Jojo Rabbit might have a chance, but it didn't, sadly. We'll get to that in a second. Foreshadowing. But The Lighthouse, amazing, downright transformative performances from Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. If you still judge Robert Pattinson as an actor because of those fucking Twilight movies, you're an actual fucking idiot, and please get away from me. Because I don't want scum like you around me. He is one of my favorite actors, probably of all time at this point. He is so phenomenal. Good Time, this, High Life, any other great movie he's been in. He's my favorite part of, honestly, my least favorite Harry Potter movie. I like Goblet of Fire, but Cedric Diggory was always the best part. God, I need some water. I forgot to get water. Damn it. I forgot the biggest ticket booth necessity. Damn it.
Exactly.
I'll get it later.
But I thought the biggest necessity for you, Gwen, was me.
Oh, that's true. You and water. So what else? Willem Dafoe is fucking amazing, but Robert Pattinson, I thought, stole the show. There were scenes where he went full on Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood, and my, holy shit, it was chaotic and downright hypnotizing. You are not prepared, Mandy, because you haven't seen it. You are not prepared for a lot of the shit that happens.
Yeah, you're really not.
It goes fucking nuts.
Yeah, I've seen the trailers and I liked what I saw, but I know you've said a few times it isn't exactly 100% accurate.
I mean, it gets the vibe kind of right. It's just depending on how you view the trailer, you might have a different perspective on what you'll be getting than what the movie actually gives you. Depends. I know you'll love it.
I like what I saw from the trailers, but I'll be weary whenever I watch the film.
Well, you're gonna love it. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna love it anyways. I mean, Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, that's a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm. And
exactly.
The cinematography and production design is gorgeous. Everything.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I know that this has been done a few times, but I remember when I saw the trailer in front of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was left in awe by like the unique, like the return to like the 4:3 aspect ratio in black
Yeah.
and white.
Yeah, a lot of A24 distributed films use the short aspect ratio, but this, like, everything about it feels like an older film. Like the aspect ratio, the black and white, it doesn't feel
Yeah,
forced.
I mean, like when I saw the trailer, even the sound design sounded like it came from the 30s.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Everything about it feels like you're watching a lost older film. And I love when movies do that. Holy shit. That's why I have an idea for a movie about the making of The Wizard of Oz, and the way that like this is very authentic and feels like something from the 30s. Even though this takes place in the
1900s.
Yeah. So I mean, like, and plus, I feel pretentious comparing my work to that of professionals and people who are much more talented.
No, Glenn, you're good. You're good.
Oh, thank you. But the
No
directing,
problems.
the production design, everything feels so real, and holy fuck, it all just feels so authentic and beautiful, yet horrific at the same time. And usually, you can have some films that have like different aspect ratio and feel pretentious with it, but like why this doesn't really need to be here. Or even some films that like are filmed in black and white that don't really have a purpose having it that way. Even good films do this sometimes, but for this film, the way that it's used just feels so authentic and so purposeful, or at least, well, I don't even want to say purposeful. It's more so just like it's supposed to add on to making it feel like an older film and making it feel authentic, and it completely succeeds at that. The directing's phenomenal. The characters are very fun to watch. The plot is very engaging and nice to go along with. The mix of comedy and horror. This movie's both horrifying. Like, here's the thing: I am not easily scared, except for some things, because I can be a bit of a pussy sometimes. But
You're good.
thank you. Some of the only movies to really get me. Funny picks. Hereditary and Sorry to Bother You. Those are the last movies that like kind of horrified me when watching them. When that happened, Sorry to Bother You. I mean, I didn't
Yeah,
expect that. So
I forgot about that scene because it's been a while since I've seen that movie.
when that came on, it was pretty fucking horrifying. Just because it came
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
I just forgot about it because it's been like a long while since I've seen Soda Bobby. You really need to watch it again.
Yeah, understandable. Even though I view it as a masterpiece, and you do need to see it again. I'm just saying, like, you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I raised it to a 5 out of 5 actually.
Oh, nice. Without spoiling anything, the last scene fucking generally left me. It gave me chills.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't give context.
I will not give context, but the last shot in particular, I'm still thinking about right as we're recording this, and oh my god, it gives me chills. This movie chilled me to the bone, and everything about it just creeps me the fuck out. And the way that they're able to mix that drama and comedy in the same movie and just mix it very well, like a fruit bowl. It just all feels so nicely done, and it feels so realistic, yet also can go in some crazy, insane places. And it knows exactly how to do that. And it's like, I am usually good at understanding complex movies, but this one, I walked out of the theater just being like, what did I just witness? I have no idea how to feel about this. And then I had to look up an ending explain thing, and then I got a bigger gist. And I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. And now I get that more, and now it's growing on me the more and more I think about it. Like, I love doing that sometimes. Like, I love being able to have to look for the answer sometimes. I mean, I like knowing what I think about it after it's over in order to have a valid opinion. Because it's nice to have finally seen a movie and then now you know what you think of it. But it can also be fun and intriguing when you have to think a lot more about it in order to really get a valid opinion. And I am now an even bigger Rob Eggers fan because of this movie. I cannot see what he does next. That Viking movie he's got coming up, the Nosferatu movie, fucking sign me up. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I always loved how Nosferatu is only recognized because of that one SpongeBob episode.
Imagine fucking that in Robert Eggers style, and holy shit, we got ourselves a masterpiece.
Yeah, that would definitely be very epic.
Yeah,
I need more context, but I already know it should be epic.
Yeah, imagine Robert Eggers doing a SpongeBob movie.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
I've mentioned this a few times to Gwen and some others in here, but imagine watching The Lighthouse while on some sort of substance.
Bitch, you die.
Yeah.
You would probably die.
You have
Yeah.
the biggest panic attack.
It's kind of insane. Just
Don't be
warning you
careful.
now, Mandy.
I'd say more so watch fucking Freddy Got Fingered while on drugs.
No, do a double feature of Freddy Got Fingered and Cat in the Hat while on drugs.
Hell
How
yeah.
about that, Gwen?
No, watch Daisies while on drugs.
Yes.
Watch Yellow Submarine while on drugs.
Oh,
I'll talk about Daisies more when we get to first time watches, but goddamn.
Anyway, this movie is fucking brilliant. The
Yeah.
dialogue is fantastic. The
I agree.
score, mwah, mwah, mwah. The score is.
Gwen, why is it so cute when you kiss?
Oh, thank you. The score, I listened to it a lot, and holy fuck, it is amazing and complements every scene really well. You don't even know where the fuck everything's going. Like, I didn't know where this movie would be going, and when certain things happened, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't expect that. I didn't really see it everywhere where this movie was going, and I kept, anytime something new was going on that I didn't expect, I was just going along and be like, okay, where's this going? Come on, I need to see more. And one thing is, even though I said the trailers were kind of misleading, I will give them this. They don't really spoil much, or at least
Oh yeah.
they don't really give context.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some scenes they show I kind of would prefer them not to show, but then again, there's no context. You cannot really guess. You know, I wouldn't say it's spoilery. I wouldn't consider it really spoilery. So I will give them that. Which is weird because some, you see trailers, even some A24 shows that completely spoil the whole movie. Like, I know The Art of Self-Defense isn't A24, but still, that trailer.
Oh my
shows the
god.
whole
Don't get me started
I
on
will
that
not-
trailer.
I will not forgive that fucking trailer. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the cinematography is gorgeous. I hope this movie has a chance of getting some Oscar recognition for the production design, the cinematography, the score. And I'm assuming Willem Dafoe will be nominated, so that's nice.
More than likely.
It'd be
I
amazing.
definitely hope this gets Oscar attention, even if I haven't seen it. It definitely looks like it would be worthy.
It'd be amazing if it could get more Oscar attention, like Best Picture, or maybe even Best Director. But I don't think it'll happen. But God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can dream.
We can dream. I'm so glad this movie lived up to all my hype, and I cannot wait to watch it more and more, and gain a lot more from it, and be able to grasp more and more that I probably didn't even catch on first watch. And there's so much about it. Like, it's a horror movie, it's a comedy, maybe in some ways it's a drama, and there's a lot of really like effective scenes, and it's also a thriller completely.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a lot of things mixed together, and it does that really well. It's very creative in some of the weird shit that it does. Everything it does makes complete sense in the context of the movie, and the more I think about this movie, the more I adore it. This movie's fucking amazing. It's crazy in the perfect way, and I fucking loved it. I also want to go for a 10, even though I'm probably not explaining enough to really justify a 10. I'm very, very critical of 10 out of 10s. I'm not easy at giving 10 out of 10s. I don't give them out like candy. I want to go for this, but I want to watch it more times before saying that. So for now, I'm going to give it a high 9 out of 10.
So I think it's kind of difficult to actually explain like the film itself without the person I'm talking to having seen the movie, because it's so strange. It's very weird. To put it simply, this is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. It might even be weirder than Midsommar, which is a bit of a bold statement, but I don't know. Let's just get all the obvious stuff out of the way. Two performances are like,
Magic.
yeah, incredible. Like powerhouse performances. These are like horror movie performances that will like just blow you out of the water with how they perform. And Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, I mean, they're already like amazing actors, but they do like some of their best work here. Now, I'm not going to say their best. With Rob Pattinson, this might be his best. It's either this or Good Time.
I actually don't know which performance I prefer more, because his performance in Good Time might be a little bit better, but his performance in this is also insanely just like, wow. People still call this dude a bad actor for some bullshit movies no one even cares about anymore. That series ended in 2012. Get the fuck over it, nerds.
Exactly. And then Willem Dafoe, not his best performance, but it's one of his best performances, I think. And he's like, just like, of course, that moment in the trailer where he's like, oh! In the movie, that's just like, that really shakes
Incredible. Like, that whole scene is just powerful.
There's moments in the movie, like there's certain theories about the film that, like I know I'm gonna bring up someone who Gwen really hates, but I think YMS, when he was talking about it on Sardonicast, he kind of brought up this theory, which I'm not going to say because it's kind of a spoiler. It's a really interesting theory. And he brought up this line that Willem Dafoe tells Robert Pattinson about like when Rob Pattinson asks, "Why did your old keeper, quit?" And he said he thought there was enchantment in the light. So that's kind of important to look at the whole film through its new context, and like the ending, as Gwen said, which is just like an incredible ending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get that ending with that line in your head. It's like it makes like a lot more sense. Although you don't exactly get a full picture of what it's supposed to mean either way. Obviously, in terms of like cinematography and production design, the film is like crazy. It is crazy. This was shot in like Nova Scotia. I honestly couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. Of course, like the dialogue, they sound like real like lighthouse keepers from that time period.
That's something I forgot to bring up. Yeah, they actually YMS that confronts up in his review, but they actually researched real lighthouse journals and ledgers and all that to really write the dialogue. And holy fuck, it sounds so realistic.
It did.
It doesn't feel fake. That's one thing also doesn't feel fake. I can't believe I forgot to bring this up. If they talk like actual like 1800 sailors, and they're like, we don't give a fuck if you can understand what the hell they're saying, because that's how people talk back then, or sailors.
If Robert Eggers decides to continue this motif with his Viking film, he's gonna have no choice but to use English subtitles, because
honestly, I think
Old English is so far away from modern English that it's basically just German.
I think at this point, Robert Eggers should just invest in just asking whoever distributes his films. I know A24, but who knows if he'll choose A24 for his next film. Just be like, you know what? Can you just release this film with English subtitles? Because I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible. And there's no fucking way anyone will understand what the hell they're saying without subtitles. So can you please release this movie with that? Like, if I were him, I'd do that.
Apparently, at Cannes, they played the movie in both French and English subtitles. Yeah. So I'm sure that probably helped out a lot. And there are moments in the movie where you can't really understand what the characters are saying until you like kind of think about the sentence. It's like, okay, now I understand what they're trying to say. Like when he says like wick, like when Willem Dafoe says wick, and I'm like, wait, he said wick, and he said it again. I was like, oh, wake. He said wake. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have the hardest time actually understanding what they were saying. I mean, there are some lines where I'm like, what the fuck? Are they speaking English or what? But
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everyone had those kinds of moments during the movie, but I didn't really have the heart. Like, I was able to enjoy the movie just as much. If I had the option to watch it with English subtitles, I would have taken it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, the AMC I saw it sometimes does that with some of their movies, called OC, I think it's called, with the open caption. Or some movies do that, like I remember when I saw Peanut Butter Falcon with that option accidentally. Like, if they had an option, I don't know if they had an option like that before this movie, but if they did, I probably would have went, because, I mean, it would have been nice to have the option at least.
Yeah, at least. Gwen, you brought up the score a while ago. Score is, like, insane.
Yeah.
Insane. That low brass is just like, boom, boom, boom. It's just like low brass and high woodwinds.
The particular track I've been listening. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was going to bring up the particular track I've been listening to a lot is the track during a certain scene with a mermaid.
Oh yeah.
But that scene and that piece of music that plays during it, whew, holy shit!
And like the instrumentation of the thing too. It's like high woodwinds and low brass. So like tubas, trombones, and then like flutes and clarinets. That's mostly like what it is. Yeah. And that combination makes the film a lot more eerie. Even though I wouldn't necessarily call this movie scary, it's really more disturbing than anything. Well,
actually, yeah, I mean, it scared me, but it's more on like a disturbing level, because holy fuck, there is some messed up imagery in this fucking movie.
The final shot in particular is just like,
oh yeah, and
wow.
The way that it's shot can actually add to the creepiness factor in ways.
Yeah. So there's the whole A24 promotion. Beware of the seagulls. It's like, yeah. Beware of the seagulls in this movie. Beware of the seagulls in this movie.
And they also promoted it by also having emojis for your messages.
Yeah, on iPhone.
Which I thought was actually pretty awesome. I could just
too bad I'm on fucking Android.
I sent some to. Yeah, I wish I could have sent some to you. I sent some to George.
Boyd, quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gwen and I sent a bunch of them back and forth. I think Pattinson and Dafoe give my favorite male performances of the year. I give this movie a 5 out of 5, but like I don't know if I would say like yeah this is like a full on like masterpiece 5 out of 5 because I'm a little bit lighter on my 5 out of 5s than Gwen is, but like I think when it comes to something like The Lighthouse or Booksmart or Ad Astra or Midsummer, all of which I gave 5 out of 5s. Also Climax, I gave Climax 5 out of 5 too. When it comes to something like those films, like there's something in them where I'm just like, this is a film. Like I am watching a film, and not just like something that someone created. Like this is like an experience film for me, where I'm like floored by it in some way or another. And The Lighthouse, it's one of the most immersive films I've seen in a very long time, probably ever. I think it just, in terms of like horror movies this year, I think this one just barely edges out Midsummer, though like they're close in my mind. I mean, in terms of like quality of the film, in terms of like what like shock value, I think Midsummer probably was more scary and disturbing, but more like a film level, like how much did the film really get me? Lighthouse probably takes the cake on that one, but anyway, that's my long rambling on The Lighthouse, like I ramble with every film. Jeffrey
All right.
Epstein.
Let me pull up my. Shut up. Okay, so my thoughts. What?
What?
Yeah. So at the end of this movie, I audibly yelled, "What the fuck?" Yeah. I mean, this movie is just fucking.
Yeah.
What? I
That's
mean,
polyester.
polyester is like so easy to understand compared to this. Like,
I don't know about that, buddy.
oh, I beg to differ. Well, let me get the stuff I do understand out of the way. Dafoe and Pattinson are outstanding together. They are just so awesome. The cinematography is outstanding. I love the old-timey feel of it and just how it looks like it was pulled straight out of the era it's trying to emulate. The imagery is really haunting and bizarre. Like, it does feel really Ingmar Bergman-esque. You can tell I mean, in terms of like the overall vibe. Well,
it did remind me of Persona in a few ways.
Well, I haven't seen that much Ingmar Bergman, but it just feels like something you call Ingmar Bergman-esque.
Yeah. It's very Bergman-esque.
The plot, or however much of a plot there was, I had a hard time really getting it. Well, part of the problem was that I had a hard time following the old-timey sailor talk they were using. I mean, I caught on to a bunch of it eventually, but a lot of the time I was going, what are they talking about? And it's one of those movies I really, really want to watch again because it's just absolutely messed up.
And something that you mentioned about the Bergman thing is this movie reminded me a lot of Persona, like a lot.
Yeah.
Not in a way where it's kind of like this movie completely stands on its own. Like you see movies where like directors are trying so hard to do like this one.
Cough, cough, Joker, cough, cough.
Pretty much. But this movie, it just has like the vibes and it like borrows the vibes of another director, but it at no point feels like Robert Eggers is just ripping off Bergman or just like I'm gonna become the next Bergman. Like it just more so just feels like similar looking style, but it works completely well for both movies. Like the black and white aspect ratio and the feel of Persona like works completely well for that movie, and same case with this movie.
Yeah.
And both are amazing, for one. I mean, obviously.
That pretty much sums up my thoughts.
George, do you want to, before we continue on to the next topic, George, do you want to mention your little incident from the first time you tried to see The Lighthouse?
I mean, sure, I guess.
I just thought it would be funny.
I tried to go see it at this like mall theater in Nashville earlier, and what ended up happening was I got into the theater and I sat down. The trailers played fine, but then like the film, like I could hear like the sound, like the opening scene, and like it wouldn't play. Like you couldn't see the visuals on screen, but you could hear the audio. and like they reset the projector like 2 or 3 times, and they were like, all right, it's not gonna work. You got to go home and come back later. So I was like, well, all right, and they gave us like reimbursement passes. I mean, it's kind of like like just a minor thing, but I don't know. Mandy.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was funny. Because from the way you described the movie, it would be completely out of place.
I mean, I guess like shit. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I guess like in the context of the movie, I suppose like that would work. Like Robert Eggers was just decided to troll us at the beginning or something. Like that would be funny, but still.
Yeah.
JoJo's Bizarre Rabbit Adventure.
Oh god damn it!
God, is that a JoJo reference? So I hate myself for referencing that meme too.
You fucking weeaboo. No, I'm kidding.
I don't watch anime, Gwen. Fuck anime.
All right, so I'm gonna go last since I already like talked about this movie. So Jeff, you want to go?
Yeah, I saw this movie early. I saw it at the New Orleans Film Festival, where I also saw a lot of stuff I'll also talk about later. I was looking forward to this movie ever since I heard about it. I was really big on Taika Waititi ever since I saw Thor Ragnarok and got into his whole sense of humor. He just seems like a really hilarious kind of guy, and I just love it.
I love him so much.
And I loved the whole kind of vibe this movie gave off, like when I saw the trailers and stuff, like how it was just like a this is just flipping off Hitler.
The biggest fuck you to Hitler possible.
I think it's also worth bringing up the fact that when it comes to this film, Taika Waititi himself is Jewish.
What better fuck you to Hitler?
Yeah, like that kind of adds to the irony of it.
Oh yeah.
And that's something I love about it as a Jewish person myself.
It's like even more of a fuck you to Hitler. I just love that so much. In fact, I'm confused why some people thought this movie was pro-Nazi, or at least like
How the hell could you even come to that conclusion?
I genuinely have no idea. It melts my fucking brain.
It's
the only way you could come to that conclusion is if you were a complete fucking idiot.
Pretty much. We all have our own perspectives, but Jesus Christ.
I like to make a point as a Jewish American myself. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
This movie in no way promotes what it's showing. For God's sake, what movie?
Same thing as Joker, honestly. Same thing as Joker.
What movie did you guys watch? I'm just curious. Like I in no way are calling you an idiot because we all have different perspectives. I mean, we all have different ways of viewing it. But I'm just confused. How do you see it as such? I'm just confused. If anyone who thought this movie was offensive or like pro-Nazi or anything like that, and wants to write something in the comments about explaining such, okay, go right ahead, because I'd be willing to read it and offer your. I'm just so confused, genuinely.
As you should be.
Yes. So I really liked this movie. I mean, it wasn't complete masterpiece. Like some characters, I thought felt a little bit underused or whatever. I don't know. I mean, but
like who in particular?
For the most part, I think the overall plot of it, especially how JoJo's arc of just growing up, you start off being completely devoted to this thing you believe in and just wanting to be in it, and then realizing, oh shit, this is fucked up. None of this is. I can't believe I was a fan of this. That sort of whole transformation and arc and growing to realize just how wrong everything you've been worshipping has been. I just love it, and it does it in such a funny and also very heartwarming way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that a lot of that goes off to how well the performances are great, especially the kids, Roman Griffin Davis and Thomasin McKenzie. They're fantastic, and they're also Scarlett Johansson is really good in this. Everyone is really good in this. Taika is super entertaining and fun to watch. And
he steals the whole show for me.
Oh, definitely. And a lot of times it does feel like it takes some pages from Wes Anderson in some ways.
Yeah.
It does hit some pretty dark notes at some points. Like
Taika tends to take a lot of from Wes Anderson in all of his films, I think.
Yeah, it does some things. It goes in some directions I didn't expect it to. and one in particular that I won't spoil, but really caught me off guard. All I'll say is, when it happens, it's like a shovel hitting you in the back of the head. I mean, this might be a little bit more spoilery, but all I'll say is there's a reason they focus quite often on Scarlett Johansson's shoes.
Oh yeah.
And no, that is not a foot fetish joke.
Taika's fingerprints
really
are
like
all
it,
over this.
Mandy.
And also, maybe one of the best uses of the F-bomb in a movie.
I was about to mention, yes.
Hell yeah.
What is the context? Are you able to give the context of this without spoiling?
Okay.
I don't think so, but it's
yeah.
towards the end, and
It is incredible.
the context of
It's
it makes
amazing.
it absolutely
Hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah, insanely.
Yeah, I'll definitely find out when I see this. Whenever.
I hope you get to see it soon.
So yeah, I really liked Jojo Rabbit, and I'd give it, I think, 8 out of 10.
Fuck, I was gonna make some really, really stupid joke, and I guess maybe like go to Google Translate and try and type up some points in German and try and read them, but I would have fucked it up completely, probably. Whatever.
Yeah. More than likely.
I mean, it's Google Translate, but what other way do I have to know in German? Anyway, I was really hyped for this movie because Taika Waititi and the trailers look great, and simple enough, I went to see it, and I loved it. Fucking loved it. It touches on a lot of interesting ideas, and kind of like how messed up, it is to push Nazism on children, especially like when being raised in Germany, and they're so young that they don't know that, of course, these ideas are not, like, they're too young to know that, obviously being a Nazi is bad, and the movie touches on that. And, there's one line in particular that really shows that idea. It's the line, it's in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler. It's a line said by Thomas and Mackenzie's character, where she says, I don't know if I should do an impression or if I should just say the line. She says, "You're a 10-year-old boy, Jojo, who likes dressing up in a funny uniform and wants to be part of a club. You're not a Nazi." This is probably a horrible
Yeah,
impression,
that basically sums it up.
Yeah, that basically sums up the idea of their show.
Okay, Gwen. You just made me think of this quote by Richard Dawkins where he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, but there's no such thing as a religious child. There's just children with religious parents in that sense. So, like, a child's parents can raise them in a religion, but that doesn't necessarily mean they believe it.
Yeah, especially the idea that, someone can see how horrible the ideas that they were raised to believe were right as a kid, and then once they basically are able to have a new perspective, they completely change everything around. I don't even want to call it a redemption arc necessarily, just more so like someone believes one thing and they were raised to believe something messed up, but
So,
then
like a realization arc.
yeah, pretty much. And the way that it's so well done, and basically my friend Angie compared this movie to Do the Right Thing, and honestly, I can see that. It reminded me a lot of Do the Right Thing in sense. And also Blazing Saddles a bit.
I don't know if I get to Do the Right Thing comparison.
I mean, and some of the ideas that are presented kind of reminds me of Do the Right Thing, and I would end Blazing Saddles in terms of how it can take a dark subject and like make comedy.
Blazing Saddles makes sense. I
mean, not that it's like, actually, funny enough, I watched this movie completely unintentionally. I watched it after I saw Jojo Rabbit, and that was a pretty awesome.
Watched what after Jojo Rabbit?
Blazing Saddles. Not right after Jojo Rabbit, like days after, but
I know.
So it was interesting to like compare the two. And yeah, they do have some similarities, and you could probably tell Taika probably had some inspiration. Speaking of inspiration, one of my biggest flaws in this movie is maybe at times it might try a little bit too hard to be like Wes Anderson. Not to like an annoying degree. Like why that cunt YMS had a bigger problem with it than I did, but you can say at times maybe it's, I don't know. You could tell Taika probably got a little bit too out of hand with the Wes Anderson influence, but it didn't really bother me. If anything, the style is used very well at times, and I seriously don't understand how someone could think this movie's fucking pro-Nazi. Like, it's the biggest fucking hit possible. Especially with that PG-13 F-bomb. You see what I mean? All performances are wonderful. Roman Griffin Davis. This is his first movie.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
Never started
crazy
any of the movies,
good debut.
No short films, no TV shows. This is his first acting role ever, and he is phenomenal. I can now see him do more.
Yeah, and he's only like 11 or 12.
Yeah, he's only 11, and he's fantastic. Like,
Yeah, he's really good.
He's better than a lot of other child actors I've seen in some recent movies.
He's better than a lot of actors in general.
Well, yeah, he's awesome. I can't wait to see him more. And Taika Waititi as Hitler, as an over-the-top parody of Hitler, very hilarious. And Taika Waititi is just such a great actor and great director. Scarlett Johansson, I know she's done all that shit. Holy
Let's
fuck.
just not even bring it up, honestly.
I know, but she is great in this movie. Holy fuck. She can be a great actress, and it's a shame. And she is great in her character serves as a nice little service to the ideas the movie's trying to present. And there's one scene involving her. Fuck, I don't want to spoil it. This isn't a spoiler because I'm not giving context, but there is a scene that's basically like the beginning of the third act that, holy fuck, when it came up, I was not expecting it, and it broke my damn heart.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's fucking heartbreaking, and Jesus, that led into really
very touching.
The whole third act, and from there on out, it's so weird to call a movie about Nazis heartwarming, but this movie succeeds at being heartwarming, and holy fuck, it really is heartwarming. It's so earned. It's one thing to have like a movie that's just like, oh, that's sweet, but this movie completely earns all emotion. And Sam Rockwell further proves that he is one of the greatest actors working today. Though, I mean, I hate to say what film Twitter has been saying for a while, but I mean, he's playing way too many racists recently. I mean, he's obviously not racist. He's an actor. I'm not a fucking idiot, but I mean, it'd be nice if he played more roles.
Yeah, it sucks that he's gotten typecast.
Yeah, at this point, he's just getting typecasted. It honestly kind of sucks because he's honestly at his best probably when he's playing like really, really cool, like chill guys. And his best performance is a movie where he does not play a racist. So there's that. Well, obviously.
What is that?
Yeah. Wait, what? Moon.
Epic.
His
Continue.
best performance is in Moon. Yeah. And the writing is spot on. The characters are all really well developed, and it's a very funny movie as well. The directing's great. The writing's great. Taika Waititi continues to prove he's one of the best comedy writers and directors working today. And he also knows how to mix in some drama and emotion perfectly. And holy fuck, I fucking love Taika so much. I can't. He made one of my favorite MCU movies, one of my favorite comedies of the decade, and made another banger. And this movie is currently number, I'd say 5 probably on my 2019 rankings. 5 on my 2019 ranking goes to either this or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This movie with a lot of very interesting ideas to present, and it presents them so well. And some people had problems with some of the tonal shifts. Honestly, I didn't think they were really, you could say maybe it's a bit tonally loose, but I wouldn't really agree with that. I think the tone is earned enough to where everything about it at least feels. Yeah. And this movie features some insanely heartbreaking scenes. And it mixes in drama well. And I love this movie. It's great. Go see it, please. It's one of the best movies you'll probably see in theaters this year so far. Hoping to get some Oscar attention. Maybe screenplay. Maybe some more.
Well, it did win the People's Choice Award at TIFF, and the past few People's Choice Awards winners have been Best Picture nominees or winners in the case of Green Book.
Oh, nice. So
3 Billboards, La La Land, Room, Fake Imitation Game, 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, it's usually a good indicator of what'll make it into the Best Picture race.
Oh, interesting. So hopefully we get some Oscar attention.
Marriage Story and Parasite were the runner-ups, so.
Yeah, and this movie is very much a crowd pleaser. This is the kind of movie you could probably watch with like a family member, and they'll be very.
By the way, crowd pleaser is not an insult.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, if you're being crowd pleaser, like, oh, this. I mean, well, I don't know. I hate to just categorize the general public as dumb. This is a crowd pleaser in a way where you'll like it, and whoever you can, it's easy to recommend to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is awesome. Go see it. 8 out of 10.
So I think I have roughly the same thoughts as both of you. I already talked about this a little bit more in depth on the last one because I saw this way early, at least earlier than y'all two.
Bastard.
Shut up. I think like echoing what you guys say, yeah, this film, it's heartwarming, it's funny, it's, sad at points and things of that nature. Though, I think the best aspect of the film, just like 100% the best aspect of the movie, is Taika Waititi. Because he's writing, directing, and starring in the movie. And he's excellent at all of those. And
Yeah.
he's the standout actor of the film, though he doesn't take away from any of the other performances. All the other performances are great. Even Rebel Wilson, who I normally hate.
Oh, I forgot she was in this.
Yeah, she's not in it that much.
Safe to say this is the only good movie she's ever been in.
Well, I like the first Pitch Perfect, but that's more of a guilty pleasure. With this film, I do kind of echo some problems like of the tonal shifts. Like they were a little too abrupt for my liking, and like I thought, okay, you're kind of moving a little too quickly. There's some points, and there were some characters that I didn't necessarily like the direction the film took them. It's kind of a little spoilery. Like some of the time, like I thought the direction in which they took was great, but there were other points where I was just like, okay, why are you doing this instead of something different? But that's neither here nor there. I think the film still succeeds at what it's trying to do, which is just be like a heartwarming film despite being a movie about Hitler. I think this film is likely it's the type of movie where it's like a PG-13 movie where you could probably it's like a family film in a sense where it's not very it's very satirical film.
Aside from maybe like a couple scenes, it's not really. I mean, it's like I can't tell if it's if I could consider it a hard PG-13 because I mean I don't know. It's definitely not R.
I think this movie, if it didn't have the F-bomb, could probably get a PG rating.
Well, there's one scene.
I think it still have a PG-13 because the overall content.
There's a couple.
Well, yeah, but I mean, still, I think the content itself is more like a PG movie. Like there's movies that are rated PG-13 that are really more PG-ish. Like there's movies that are rated R that really should be a PG-13, like 8th Grade or Lady Bird. And then there's movies that get a PG-13 rating. It's like, okay, why is this an R? With this, I feel like this should be a PG rating because it's not really that inappropriate. Yeah, there's a lot of curse words, but kids curse. Kids curse. Get used to it, bitch.
I was cursing by age 11.
I was cursing by age 10, I think. Yeah, I think this movie's great, and you should all see it. I mean, I think this movie's pretty popular. It's doing pretty well at the box office, I think. So, I think you're probably going to see it no matter what. But it is recommended that you see it. 4 out of 5, same rating as all of you. It's in my top 20 of the year, and I imagine it's likely to stay there. But we will see.
We're touched on a lot of bangers, but let's get to another banger.
All right.
Probably the biggest banger of the year.
All right.
Well,
get ready to
Lighthouse.
Get ready to talk about this movie. All right.
One movie we were talking about Unplanned.
No, we're talking about Haunting of Sharon Tate, obviously.
God damn you!
Talk about Aladdin.
Okay, so Parasite. All right, Gwen just mentioned that Rocketman might have been topped. I think Booksmart has officially been topped, boys. For not just me, but Jeff. So
Yeah.
Parasite. Okay, let me just explain. We're not going to talk about the plot in any way, shape, or form.
Please, go in blind. That's what I did.
Do not watch the trailer.
Look, don't talk about the plot. I need to go in blind too.
Okay, so here's the thing about the trailer. The trailer doesn't spoil anything. It's not misleading, but it might give you a little bit too much plot and a little bit too much vibe that might hinder the experience a little bit. Despite all of that, Parasite is the best movie of the year, and I don't think it's very likely that this movie will be topped because holy shit. This film is amazing. It is like a modern day masterpiece. I don't know where to begin with this film. Let's start with the performances. All of them terrific. Even the child actor in this movie, he's great. And like who's the dad in the movie? I forget his name.
Song Kang-ho, the actor's name.
Yeah, he's also in the movie Thirst, which I'll talk about in first time watches. This man needs a Best Supporting Actor nom. I swear, he is just amazing, and like all the performances in this film are phenomenal. There are story beats in this movie where you're like the movie just pushes you on the edge of your seat, and that's what my boy Bong does. Bong Joon-ho, and he's had a lot of great movies in his career. Okja, Snowpiercer, Memories of Murder. Apparently also The Host and Mother. I haven't seen those yet. I think this is my favorite of his so far. So many other elements of this movie. Every little beat in the film. There's a scene that's kind of towards the halfway point of the film. It's a scene in a house, and it's a scene involving a peach. And then
Oh, fuck.
that scene, like the music, the editing, the cinematography, it's like you're just watching it, and it's like you're glued to the screen the entire time.
That fucking scene shocked me when I first watched this.
Like there's like every moment, and there's a twist halfway towards the movie where like it's not hinted at in the trailer, and you wouldn't get this hint in any of the reviews, but it just happens in the movie, and you're like, what is this movie becoming? What just happened in this film? And then you get to the very end of the film, and it's just made even more clear. There's this whole sequence in a house, in the house, where it's like a very long sequence. It's just so tension.
This entire movie's tension, really.
Really, yes. And we gotta talk about the score. It's like so brilliant, like eargasmic score. It's kind of like classical music. Really adds to the atmosphere of this movie. Also, production design.
Oh, and that they built the house from fucking scratch.
They built the house from scratch.
Wow.
And it's like so impressive. I think they built all the sets, like Bong Joon-ho mentioned in an interview, that they had to build all the sets for the film. The film is ultimately like class warfare, like a class warfare type movie. This isn't really much of a spoiler. It's kind of you're gonna catch on to it pretty early on. There are moments in the film where you get the difference between what's going on with this poor family who lives like below the city, and then the rich family, where like the rich family see something and is like, oh, that's nice, and then the poor people are just like suffering from that same thing. It's about perspectives, and the whole time you're watching this movie, it's like, wow. There were moments, and plenty of moments in this movie, where I was just nodding along like, yeah, that was great. That was fantastic. And there were plenty of moments in the movie where I would try to predict what happened and get it entirely wrong. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to stop guessing because I don't know where this is going to go.
I didn't know where it was going either, but I can't tell if that's because I went in not knowing anything or if it was unpredictable even when I got a nice grab.
And but the whole vibe of this movie is so good. This is a film. This is a film here.
In every sense of the word.
And I think this movie is going to become a classic at some point. People will definitely look back on this movie and be like, yeah, Parasite.
It's going to become an international cult classic in the same way that Oldboy did.
I think Parasite's probably going to get a Best Picture nom. Like,
oh, I'm hoping. I'm fucking
I
hoping.
hope to God it does.
I hope
it's going to win Best International Film.
Oh,
it's going to win.
I can't fucking win. The Oscars has such a bias against foreign film that I'm kind of scared whether or not Parasite will be nominated.
Well, they gave a lot of love to Roma.
I forgot about Roma's. Then again, I blocked everything about this year's Oscars out of my head because this year's Oscars fucking blew.
My point about Roma is that I think it's gotten more love than any other foreign film from the Academy. And
Life is beautiful though.
Even Life is Beautiful. And this movie, they did nominate a movie by Ingmar Bergman for Best Picture before. So like, it got more respect in a film by one of the most renowned filmmakers in the world. in history. Parasite, I think it could get nominated for Best Picture, Director, and so many other things, and I hope it does.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope it wins those things because, my God, this fucking movie. It is a movie. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to rave about it until the cows come home. And then I'm going to keep going. 11 out of 10, 6 out of 5. Just go see it right now.
Let me go next. Because I'm just as ready to gush about this movie. I didn't think it would happen for months. Booksmart was at my number 1 of 2019 list. And for so many months, I was like, I can't imagine anything coming along and topping this. But lo and behold, I see Parasite. And before long, by the end, I'm like, it happened. This is my new number 1 of the year. And I don't think any other movie will top this. This is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. It hits all the right notes. It's just expertly written, expertly paced, acted. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it because it's one of those movies where, I mean, I went in blind, but when you walk in and it starts, you watch it thinking you're watching one movie, and then at some point it goes a complete different direction and catches you completely off guard, and suddenly you're watching something completely different. And you're like, oh my God, where is this movie going? And the turns it takes and the suspense that's built throughout all of it and the tension that comes from it as you're watching these characters become more and more stuck in their situation is just so gripping and so tense, and you're just dreading what's going to happen next. I'm just blown away by how amazing this movie is. The cinematography is fantastic. The score is amazing. The production design, Jesus Christ, please, I hope this gets a production design nomination because it deserves it for the amount of effort they put into building that house and everything. And the script is fantastic.
It better win production design, honestly.
It better win something. I mean, it's already won a ton of my Jeff Movie Man awards, which are the only awards that matter. But I mean,
well, also the Atlas Awards, named after my dog.
And the Gwen Awards.
But yeah, this is a absolutely pitch perfect movie in every sense of the word. And by the end, I had my jaw hanging to the floor, and I could not believe what I had just watched. And it just blew me away. See this movie ASAP. If it's playing anywhere near you, just go see it. Go see it multiple times. It is absolutely fucking amazing. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Parasite is fucking amazing. These two boys probably explained it better than I could. But this movie is fucking outstanding. The performances, the story, you never know where it's going. And the twists and turns that it goes are just... This movie's so great at just building up tension. All the characters are fun to watch, and this movie's so insanely dark in a way that I loved. And this movie's twisted. Like I was shocked every time. Everything this movie kept happening when I was first watching it. I didn't expect anything from what was going to happen. I didn't know anything about the plot. I just knew it was a hyped up movie. And I didn't really know what to expect going in. So, and then when all that went down, I was flabbergasted. Like, it's so dark and twisted in a way that I loved. This movie just grows and grows on me the more I think about it. The score, classical feel, the score, cinematography is gorgeous, production design is amazing. The twists are all dark and insanely gripping and tension building to watch in the best way. The writing's amazing. It's funny. It's at the same time being insanely twisted and fucked up. It's very much a dark comedy, very much so. And holy fuck. And speaking of Sorry to Bother You, there's a twist to it that when it came in precisely halfway, it kind of reminded me a bit of that reveal in Sorry to Bother You. Kind of like, at least in terms of the way that it just came out of nowhere. I don't know. I hate to compare anything when there's a twist to Sorry to Bother You. Big on me. There's a lot of messed up shit that happened in this movie, and it's just so gripping to watch, and you don't know what the fuck's happening next. I didn't really have a grip on where this movie was going. So seeing all that go down is just so fun to watch. But also, despite it being insanely dark, it's brilliant. It's everything you want and it's pretty accessible. I'd say it's easy to recommend to anyone. It's not necessarily a movie you need to like sit and think about for a while in order to really get like, oh, I love this about it. It's easy to access, easy to know what you think about it, all that, but not in a way where it's like it's dumb or simple-minded. In a way where it's like, anyone can get what's going on. You know what I mean? I need to get more to Bong Joon-ho's work because I really love this.
I highly recommend Memories of Murder.
I will. I can't wait to watch it. I just love this movie. I love it. I love it. And I'm glad I saw it. And everything about it was just so great. And I hope this gets more Oscar attention than I'm expecting it to, because holy fuck, this movie's so tightly written.
It's a masterpiece.
It's so
Absolute
brilliant.
masterpiece.
I might go for a 5 out of 5 on second watch, but like I said, I don't hand out 5 out of 5s easily. So we'll see. I don't really have like any big flaws with it, really. God, there's just some scenes that really stick with you, and this movie is amazing. I can't wait for Mandy to watch it. I can't wait for Mandy to watch all 3 of these in particular.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do now that we're done?
I think first time watches.
Yeah. All right,
Mandy, how about you go first since you got it?
I'm gonna go first since I'm not sure if these are still. I'm pretty sure some of these will be edited out. Who knows? But I'm not feeling the greatest, so I'm gonna get mine out of the fucking way first.
Aw.
So
I hope you feel better, babe.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Same here.
Same.
Thanks, y'all. Anyways, I'm gonna go over. I have 9 films I watched over the last 2.5 months that I'm gonna be going over today. So, first up, on September 1st of this year, I watched Pan's Labyrinth for the first time. So,
Yes.
and
Yes. Great
really
movie.
Amazing movie.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie from Del Toro. I really liked The Shape of Water when I saw it Year Ghost, and this one was I just fucking loved it. So that is an easy 10 out of 10 for me. Then on September 9th, I saw Suspiria, which one? The 2018 one.
Remake.
Oh, the good one.
Amazing movie.
I might watch the original.
Watch it.
I don't think it's worth it, honestly.
I'd say watch it.
I'd be willing to watch it, yes. But yeah, the remake, it was a 9 out of 10 on first watch, but after thinking about it more, I raised it up to a 10 out of 10. I just really fucking love it, and Dakota is fucking hot in there. Then on September 21st, I watched Punch Drunk Love.
Yes.
From what I've seen,
amazing movie.
Yeah, which from what I've seen of him is definitely my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film. It's easily in my top 20 favorite films of all time. I fucking love it.
Hell yes.
It's a great movie.
Then in October, I tried to do a fucking 15 Halloween film challenge, but since I said I was going to talk about 9 movies, you already know I failed miserably at that. And so did Gwen.
Yeah.
And so did I.
We all fail.
Anybody even succeed? I don't know.
I think Jack and Mark did.
Mark barely got it.
Yeah, didn't he watch like 5 or 6 movies on the last fucking day?
Yeah.
He was like,
dying.
And he was just like, dying.
While I failed to get to all 15, I did manage to watch 1/5 of them. So the first one I watched on October 6th was the original Psycho, which I really fucking loved. It was actually the first Hitchcock I watched, believe it or not. So, yeah.
It was my first Hitchcock, too.
Yeah, easy 10 out of 10. And by the way, also, I haven't seen it for a while, but I kept making jokes about it with George, because one of his least favorite films of all time is the 1998 remake of Psycho.
It is my least favorite movie.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was one of your least, but yeah. But the original Psycho, amazing film. Then on October 8th, I saw probably my favorite of the first-time watches I'm covering, In Cold Blood. It's a film I'm really passionate about, mainly because I actually read the original book back, towards the end of junior year, which was back in May of this year. So even though reading is tedious for me, especially since I have a hard time paying attention, I found the book fairly interesting, mainly because I'm one of those fucking weirdos who's fascinated by disturbing events and murders and shit, and In Cold Blood just fascinated me because the real life murder actually happened in the state I live in, which is Kansas. In fact, funnily enough, the murders the book and movie is about yesterday was actually the 60th anniversary.
Oh
Ooh.
shit.
Yeah. But anyways, basically the murders involved were like two robbers trying to rob a family, but they end up killing all of them. And the rest of the film starts focused about the trial and the legal proceedings and shit, and also before then like the wild goose chase they get involved in. But
Yeah.
it's an amazing film. In fact, after thinking about it, it could easily break into my top 10 if I thought about it some more and gave it one or two more rewatches. Yeah, and recently because my birthday was like 4 days ago at the time I'm recording this, and one of the things I got there was the Criterion of In Cold Blood, which I'm very happy to. Anyways, then on October 14th, I watched Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele.
And you need to watch Us too.
Yeah, I also need to watch Us. I really loved Get Out. It wasn't a perfect film, but I really loved it. 9 out of 10 on my part. Then I watched, on October 27th, I watched Tom Hanks 4.
Only real ones get that reference.
Only real ones get that fucking joke.
Yeah.
You have to. I'm not even gonna explain it. You have to find out yourself. You sports kids.
Jeff,
Don't worry. I'll spoil it in the comments.
Jeff, I'll explain the context to you just because I want you to edit in the guy from the video saying Tom
Yes.
Hanks.
Toy Story 4. I really liked it. To be honest, also kind of a hot take here. I actually think I like the fourth one a little better than the third one. The third one is still enjoyable, but I think I prefer the fourth one a bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment.
Still like Toy Story 3, it just felt a bit weaker, and I couldn't really explain why, but I still really enjoyed Toy Story 4, but like the third one, it doesn't live up to the first one, and especially the second one. But it's an enjoyable movie. Then on October 29th, I watched another amazing Paul Thomas Anderson movie, There Will Be Blood, which I loved.
Amazing film.
My ranking of PK would probably go Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, Magnolia, and Punch Drunk Love. But I couldn't be 100% sure because they're all 5 out of 5, so picking one above the other would be fucking complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of my ratings for him are 5 out of 5.
It's like the hardest ranking period.
I still need to see some of his movies, including The Master, Phantom Thread, and I can't remember what his first movie was.
Heartache, Inherent Vice.
Yeah, I need to see that too, but yeah.
Heartache is his weakest movie by far, but
Well, I mean, it was his first one, so not.
But I mean, like, well, there's directors who have made like outstanding feature debuts, like Greta Gerwig, Jordan Peele, you know.
Yeah, Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jonah Hill.
Bradley Cooper.
Ari Aster.
Yeah.
Well,
Robert Eggers.
yeah.
Wait, Jeff, by The Master, do you mean Tino's dick fart?
What?
That's an actual short. That's an actual thing he directed.
Oh my god, fuck yes.
Just look it up on Letterboxd.
And speaking of amazing feature film director debuts that happen to be incredible, the last film I'm going to be discussing for today is The Virgin Suicides.
Yes.
But Sofia Coppola's first full feature-length film. Her first technical film was a short film, but Virgin Suicides is her first feature-length film, and I fucking loved it.
Fantastic film.
I actually watched most of the Virgin Suicides on my birthday, funnily enough, which was back on the 12th, and I really loved the film.
It's a great movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
And like in Cold Blood, it was one of the Criterions I got last weekend, and yeah. And now it's the final film I gotta watch. Now I'm gonna go take a pussy nap.
Okay. See you. Good night.
All right. Good night. All right. So before the main event, first time watches, and there's a lot of them. First, in theaters, I saw Dolomite Is My Name, which is the biopic about Rudy Ray Moore, the man who played Dolomite, who's here played by Eddie Murphy. And man, this was just such a fun movie. It feels like a less crude and more uplifting version of The Disaster Artist, but with a more positive end result. It's just about a dreamer who's just using all his goodwill and helping people get further in the business and just accomplishing his dream. And it's just so uplifting, and it's funny, and it's energetic, and it's heartwarming. And Eddie Murphy, this is the best he's been in years. Like, you can tell he's having the time of his life in this role. Like, he's just having so much fun with it. And I really liked this movie.
I still need to watch it.
It's on Netflix.
I
So
know.
yeah. So then I started attending the 2019 New Orleans Film Festival, which is always really fun to go to. And I got to
And
see a lot of great stuff pretty
the
early.
first one you saw, I am incredibly jealous of you because I did get to see it at Nashville Film Festival.
I'm incredibly jealous, period, because both of you had the chance to watch it at festivals.
Of course, what we're talking about is Marriage Story. And this was just fantastic. I mean, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, they're both amazing together and individually too. They give some career best performances. Adam Driver especially. Like, this is probably my favorite Adam Driver performance, without question. He is just amazing.
Is this your favorite ScarJo performance too?
Probably, yeah. She's fantastic in this. The way it's directed and written, it felt kind of Altman-esque in some respects, mainly because it really well portrays
Altman-esque, really?
I mean, because there's just so much chaos and
Like overlapping dialogue.
or it's just so much dialogue going on at once.
Because he said like the same thing about Francis Ha, and I'm like, I don't get the Altman comparison at all.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not exactly, but it's maybe more because of how chaotic it feels. Like, it really well encapsulates just how stressful and
I get
chaotic the process of divorce and marriage can be.
Though, with the Altman point with Bombeck, I did get, when I think more of Mistress America, I get some Altman vibes from that one too, because that one is kind of chaotic. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it has a little bit of Altman DNA in there. Kinda. Not exactly, but a little bit. But yeah, like I said,
Bombeck has talked about how Altman is one of his biggest influences. So
yeah, and you can see that. But it portrays marriage and divorce really well because it's just, I imagine it's just that hectic and chaotic and stressful. Like, there's all this tension between you, and yet you're still trying to keep together through the whole thing because part of you still deep down loves each other and doesn't want this, but it's just not working out.
Sounds like
watching
so fucking
people,
sounds like scenes from a marriage, yeah.
just like watching two people both still loving each other and hating each other at the same time. It's what it feels like. It's just amazing. And the performances they give, I will say, the culmination of it, there is a scene in this movie. I'm not going to spoil it. It's like a whole 5 minute or so long dialogue scene. It's just between Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. And they're talking, and they go through just about every human emotion there is in the span of maybe 5 or so minutes. And it keeps escalating and going more and more tense as it goes along.
God,
and you're just glued to the screen the whole time. And it's just incredible. It's one of the best movies of the year. I'm definitely going to get Oscar buzz. I think as far as best actor, it's going to be a close race between Adam Driver and Joaquin Phoenix.
I think this movie will win original screenplay easy.
Probably. I imagine it'll win some stuff.
I cannot fucking wait for this movie.
This is one of the few movies that could maybe top Parasite.
I am so fucking hyped, and I'm gonna get the chance to see it in theaters, and I'm hoping I can go.
Yes. All right. So my next film was not part of the film festival, but I saw it before the film at the festival. I saw later that night because I had some time. The film I'm talking about is Manos, a foreign film from Colombia. This was a weird movie. People described it as sort of like a more drug-induced Apocalypse Now or Lord of the Flies. And yeah, it does feel like that, but it was kind of hard to follow or connect with, really. But you can tell it does share that sort of DNA in terms of being stuck in this remote area like that and just descending into madness and uncivilized attitudes like that. The cinematography and the score is outstanding. Shout out to Mika Levy, or Micah Levy, however you pronounce it. Also the composer of Jackie,
and Under the Skin.
Is fantastic. Yes.
Wait, and the same composer is Under the Skin.
Yes.
And it was great. Later that night, I saw Waves, and I have some complicated feelings about this. Without getting into spoilers, of course. Let me just say, this was so close to being my new number one of the year. So close. The first two acts were amazing. They were a amazing mix of acting, writing, editing, cinematography, score. Everything was just on point, and it just kept escalating and escalating, more and more tense as it went along, and using a brilliant use of shifting aspect ratios, I might add, to emphasize that tension. And it just builds and builds and builds until the payoff of all that smacks you upside the head like a sledgehammer, and you're not believing what you're seeing. You could end the movie there, and maybe some people would think that's it. That's a perfect movie. What happens after that, it's not bad, but it just pales in comparison to what came before. It's not as intense or jaw-droppingly, I don't know the word, but it's not as immensely effective as what came before it. It's without giving spoilers, it's a lot more mellow, dramatic than the first two acts, because mainly it's dealing with the aftermath of everything that happened in the first two and how it's affecting people and the sort of recovery from it. And that makes sense if you're going to tell that sort of story. But I feel like it wasn't entirely effective in how it wanted to get that across. And also, there's one particular thing about this movie that almost ruins it for me. And that is Lucas Hedges. Because he is legitimately terrible in this.
Now you know how we felt watching Manchester by the Sea. And
Like,
how
oh
bad
my
it was in that.
God. Like, I was just, when he showed up and gave this overly awkward and too nice guy kind of performance, I was like, oh my God, no. Like, this guy, he was just ruining the movie for me. And he just stood out like a sore thumb against everybody else in this movie, who was fantastic. It's especially shout out to Kelvin Harrison Jr. for being one of the best rising stars of this era. Between this and Loose, he is amazing newcomer, and I'm eager to see him in more movies. But yeah, this movie it's like my problem with Full Metal Jacket, where the first parts of it are unbelievably great, and then the rest of it isn't as great, at least because that first parts of it was just so unbelievably outstanding that the rest of it just doesn't live up to it. I mean, it's not a bad film at all. I still gave it like a 4.5 out of 5, but that's largely because I'd say the first two acts are a 5 out of 5. Third act is like maybe a 4 out of 5.
I see.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd still highly recommend it. It's absolutely worth it for... Oh, and also, I probably said it, but shout out to the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, which I cannot fucking wait to listen to again, and I am so salty that I can't right now because it's not out yet. God damn it!
It's like you with Beale Street, right?
Yes, the same experience.
That was like the exact same thing you faced with Beale Street last year.
Exactly the same feeling. I'm like, God damn it! The next day I saw Troop Zero. This doesn't come out. They only recently announced this is going to be on Amazon in January, I believe. I mean, it's an Amazon-produced movie. It's all right. I mean, it was the weakest of the movies I saw at the festival, but it's still pretty good. It's like a sort of a standard odds against the odds story about a bunch of these cute little kids at this like sort of scout camp, and it's fun, but it's really glued together because it's got Viola Davis and Allison Janney.
Wait, Viola Davis? No, holy shit.
Yeah, and they're having fun with it. They're really fun to watch. Very welcome.
I'll add this to my watch list then.
And then next, I did another double feature. I saw Ford versus Ferrari, which was really good. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
Thank you.
Does hit a lot of the standard biopic note, and it does drag some, especially in the first parts of it as it builds up. But the slow pace, I think it benefits from it because it's a long and stressful process getting it to the point where they're going to in this film. Christian Bale and Matt Damon, Christian Bale especially, they're excellent together. Their chemistry is really great and they're fun to watch. And the racing sequences, they are exhilarating and awesome and just so fun to watch. And they're just so edge of your seat entertaining. Even if you have to sit through a good bit of talky talk to get to them. And it's really good. Highly recommend. Then next day I saw The Aeronauts, which I liked more than I thought I would. It's a standard two-story sort of fare, but for the most part, it's handled pretty well. I mean, Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones, I mean, they're really good in this. Say what you will about him stealing Michael Keaton's Oscar, but still.
And playing a trans role, even though he's a cis actor.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually good in this.
I have a hard time believing that.
No, I can't believe that.
I mean, it's not like he's reaching for, or like, please give me an Oscar, like, not like that. Well, I mean, it was a lot less Oscar baity than I thought it would be. It didn't feel like it was desperately trying to go for it. The aerial sequences where they're up in the air in the balloon, those are definitely highlights. And you get some really pretty vistas when they're up in the sky and the clouds. It's really pretty to look at. And there's some really tense sequences of them going up against the weather and just facing all that. And it's pretty cool. My main complaint about this movie is that it's put together in a non-linear fashion where we see events out of order. And it's a lot of flashback stuff. And I think that kind of hinders our ability to really get any sort of real character development from the two leads. I think if you'd edited it conventionally, it might have been a bit more easy to follow, but maybe other people might have thought it was just too standard that way, but I don't know. Yeah, solid movie, and I liked it. Then later that night, I saw Honey Boy. My thoughts about this one are pretty much the same as George's. I liked it, but I think it could have benefited from maybe another 15 minutes or so, because I feel like it didn't completely accomplish what it meant to do. Like, it felt like it ended too soon, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I can see that, yeah.
But I will say, Shia LaBeouf is fucking amazing in this.
By far his best performance.
Yes, easily the best
By
performance.
far and away.
Noah Jupe as his son, well, the younger version of his son, is really great. Lucas Hedges, not bad. Like, he's way better than
he was actually good.
Out of the Lucas Hedges performances I saw at this fest, this was the good one. I mean, he wasn't amazing, but he was good here.
Add this to the list of 3 movies he's ever been good in.
Yeah, so yeah, I liked it. Then next day, I saw a movie I know Gwen is really going to enjoy and is super hyped for, A Hidden Life.
Yes.
I really liked this one. The only other Terrence Malick film I'd seen at this point is The Tree of Life. Thank you, Gwen, for recommending that to me.
You're very welcome.
I liked it. I mean, it was a little too weird and non-linear for my taste, but this was a lot more narratively focused.
It was more straightforward.
Yeah, and I had an easier time accessing it because of that. The cinematography, I mean, it's Terrence Malick, so it's going to be an amazingly shot movie regardless.
It is truly immaculate.
It's a beautifully shot movie. And the score and the use of classical music here and there is lovely. And the overall story is really moving and heartbreaking. And honestly, if you'd given this movie to a different director, they probably wouldn't have taken advantage of the lengthy runtime this has, because Malick, he takes his sweet time with this movie and it works to its benefit.
It's crazy.
You're really allowed to soak in these feelings of these emotional turmoil these characters are feeling, all because this man takes a put his foot down stand against something nobody else around him really seems to have a problem with. It
Or
just
at the very least, just didn't have the confidence to do the same.
Yeah, and how your refusal to believe in something just
God, I can't
Even
fucking
if-
wait for this movie.
In ways, it feels like Jojo Rabbit on steroids.
I don't know if I describe it like that. I mean, it's sort of like Jojo Rabbit, but not funny.
Yeah, more or less.
Like not funny at all. Like it's just sad. If you'd given this to another director, it would have been a lot shorter, and B, probably a lot more conventional and standard. It's like a story that is relatively easy to tell, but the way Malik tells it makes it so
Unique, yeah.
engaging and beautiful.
In my personal opinion, I think it could have been trimmed off a little bit. I wouldn't say trim it off to the point where all the emotion is taken out completely, but like I had a bit of an issue with the film was like it wasn't as impactful as I think it could have and should have been. And I think part of that was kind of because there were a few moments that just really kind of dragged at points. But there's plenty of scenes in this movie, like the scene that's on the poster of the movie. That's my favorite scene in the entire film. It's like you get a lot of emotions from that scene. And
I am
it's
so fucking jealous for all y'all. I genuinely am.
one, you are going to adore it.
wanting to
Yeah,
like
you are
this
going to
as
love this.
fucking yell. I cannot. God, I need this now. I cannot. Give me it now. Give me 3 hours of this now, please, God, please, now, please. How am I this unlucky? Y'all got. I have like multiple friends who got to see this before me.
Jeff saw 3 times the movies I saw at Nashville Film Festival. Gwen.
Actually,
Come on.
that's a very good point.
All right, and then closing night of the festival, I saw Knives Out, and this was so much fun. I mean, it's a great take on a whodunit, and it's not even a conventional whodunit. Like, it goes in some directions you wouldn't expect. Like, it really twists the whole whodunit formula in really great and interesting ways. The cast is great. They're all well utilized. And it's hilarious. It's funny. It's well edited. And the way it plays out and catches you off guard and subverts expectations is just really, really smooth. And it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. Can't wait for people to see it. And that's my time at the New Orleans Film Fest. So then I went and saw a re-release of The Wizard of Oz, which I have seen before years and years and years ago when I was a little kid, but barely remembered it a lot. And I felt like, I should see it again. And it's just as good as it was all these years. It's earned its place as a classic. The cast is all wonderful. The production design, the songs are unforgettable. And heck, even me at 22, I even nearly teared up watching this movie.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of the classics. Later, I was eager to get more into Bong Joon-ho's work after seeing Parasite, so I sat down and watched Okja, which is a very good movie, but not one I'd rush to watch again, which is not a knock on the film. It's just more that
It's his weakest movie by far.
I mean, like, because it's a really upsetting movie. It's not a pleasant movie that you'd want to go watch again. The light it sheds on stuff like animal cruelty and all that stuff. It's just not an easy sit. But the cast is fantastic, especially whatever the ever-loving fuck Jake Gyllenhaal was doing in this movie, which I want to see 100 times more of because holy fuck, what the fuck are you doing, Jake? And Tilda Swinton, who is absolutely amazing. She's just got so much fucking range. I love her. And
She's
Paul
great.
Dano, who I actually forgot was even in the movie until he showed up, and I was like, oh no shit, Paul Dano's in this.
Can't wait to see him as the Riddler.
Oh, I
Same.
cannot wait to see him as the Riddler.
I'm more hyped to see Colin Farrell as the Penguin, but still.
Then I went and saw Terminator Dark Fate, which was surprisingly better than I ever expected it to be. And I guess this is a big fat I told you so from Gwen because she was standing this movie the whole time before it was leading up. So yeah, it was actually pretty good. The action is really solid. The new leads and Linda Hamilton, they're all great. And it's actually got some pretty neat emotional weight to it. The context of which has been rather controversial to people who dislike it. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's stupid. I won't say what, but it's been
You mean with Dude Bros being misogynistic about there being Latina and women leads?
It's more so in terms of the dark fate, wink, 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 nudge, nudge, nudge,
Yeah.
of a certain character. But enough about that. I think the emotional weight of all that is handled pretty darn well. And I liked it. And then I saw Motherless Brooklyn, which also screened it off, but I wasn't able to see because I think I was seeing something else. I was not really big on this one. I mean, it wasn't awful, but I had a hard time getting a grip on the story. I couldn't really follow it well. It just felt like it meandered for a while. The cast, they're really good. I mean, you have Bruce Willis actually awake for once.
That's a fucking shocker.
And then they kill him off in like the first 10 minutes.
Wow, that's some irony.
Isn't that in the trailer though?
Well,
Yeah.
it's not really spoiler.
He's barely in the movie.
That's the plot of the movie, really. How was Willem?
Willem? He's good. I mean, not one of his greater performances, but it's always nice to see him at least.
How long is he in it for?
A pretty good amount. Like, he's a pretty substantial supporting role.
How was Gugu Mbatha-Raw? I hate saying that name. I fucking hate saying that name. I mean, that's not offensive, I'm sure.
She's good.
It's just that
the whole cast is good.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, Alec Baldwin's good. Edward Norton's good. His portrayal of Tourette's didn't come off nearly as hokey or awards baity as I thought it would be. Like,
it didn't feel like he was trying to insult anyone with Tourette's.
No, it didn't feel like that.
Well, I mean, it could have easily just been him just, like, thinking that he's doing something profound, but he's just making himself like an idiot.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, this is like a passion project for him, and it's just failing financially.
I had heard that, like, because I heard of this movie first, like, 2 years ago, when I heard that he was trying to direct a movie.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh shit, Edward Norton directed a movie, like a gangster movie? That sounds interesting.
Well, I mean, it's not really a gangster movie.
Well, okay, well, I don't
it's more like a detective film.
You know, got a good cast. You know, you got Norton, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who I think she was the best part of the piece of shit known as the Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
Oh my god, don't remind me.
Don't remind me.
Her performance in that movie showed me, like, okay, she can act. I would love to see her in some stuff that doesn't suck. And, you know, you got Willem Dafoe, Bruce Willis.
I mean, she's good in the movie. The movie around her isn't all that memorable or engaging or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
it didn't connect with me.
It looks like I either hate it or just think that it's just mediocre.
It feels like it came and went kind of movie.
The reviews are kind of mixed on it, from what I've seen. Like, David Lannister, like, really loves this film. You know, shout out to him, by the way. Like, it's no insult to him or anything. There's some people who hate it.
I will say, I really liked the score, though. It's by Daniel Pemberton, who is a fantastic composer.
Wait, I thought it was by Tom York.
Oh, well, no, Tom York did
a song.
Oh, okay.
So then I rewatched The Shining in preparation for the movie I saw after that. I went and bought the film on Blu-ray. I got the Steelbook from Best Buy, and it holds up just as great as I remember. I love me some Kubrick, and it's just great. But seriously, though, what the fuck is up with that guy in the bear suit giving the dude a blowjob?
I know, right?
Is that why the remake of Wicker Man was made? Just for that one scene with the bear to call back to The Shining?
And I rewatched Shining in preparation for what I saw. I don't remember if it was the same day or not, but
your letterbox says the same day.
Oh yeah. But I saw Dr. Sleep, and I really liked it. I mean, as far as 2+ hour Stephen King sequels that came out this year go, this is so much better than It Chapter 2. I mean, yeah, it does get fan servicey, kinda, especially towards the last act. It does get fan servicey with its connection to The Shining, but let's be honest, connecting it to the Kubrick movie was honestly inevitable.
I hear the third act is just nothing but a huge hand job to The Shining.
It kind of is, but it didn't really annoy me. I mean, I think it was done well. It's a nice, solid follow-up to The Shining, and it's a pretty solid movie on its own. I think it tackles its themes pretty well. I mean, following adult Danny Torrance, and at this point in his life, and using his shine to benefit people, and just coping with the aftermath of like the abuse he suffered in the first film, and just coming to terms with that. And I think it handles it pretty well. And also Rebecca motherfucking Ferguson. Oh my god, she was so great in this movie as the villain. She was just so entertainingly evil. Every time she was on screen, I was like grinning. I was like, I really like Mike Flanagan. And I think he has a good handle on Stephen King. I know George doesn't agree with me, but
I guess I was the only person on the planet who thought Hush was awful.
I haven't seen it. So, I saw Gerald's Game, which I really liked.
I watched Gerald's Game on a Rabbit stream, and I don't remember how much attention I was paying to it, but I think what I saw was enjoyable.
Yeah, I liked it.
But it fucked
I think
up.
he has
of course, yeah.
I think he has a good handle on adapting Stephen King, and I liked it. Next day, I was on a sort of a rabbit movie club sort of thing where they watch movies in a chat room or whatever. I watched this weird foreign film called Blonde Sonny Yves. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a Spanish film. It's like The Artist in that it's a throwback to silent films. And it's sort of a interesting spin on the Snow White story about a female bullfighter. Yeah, and it's kind of a downer actually, but it's a really neat little take on a sort of fairy tale story. And then that same night, I watched Ridley Scott's Legend, specifically the European cut with the Jerry Goldsmith score. This is a movie I've been meaning to watch for a while and didn't care too much for it. I mean, maybe it's the cut I watched. I mean, I've heard people say the director's cut is actually better, but I still need to watch it. But this, I mean,
What the hell? Tom Cruise is in this?
Yeah, young Tom Cruise.
Tim Curry as the devil.
Yeah, Tim Curry as Darkness. It's crazy. And I'm not used to seeing Tom Cruise sound so young. It's visually gorgeous. Like, it's a pretty movie. It's the same DP as Excalibur, and you can tell because these movies are goddamn shiny. These movies are just shiny. They're so shiny you could practically see your reflection in them. But the story, it just feels really inert. There's just so much visual sensory overload that it makes its real lack of a solid or well-structured story really stick out. It just, plus it felt haphazardly edited together. Like it was just trying to rush through things. Though maybe it's just, that's because of the cut I watched. Maybe it's not like that in the director's cut, but it's just kind of a mess. Although it is worth it to see Tim Curry as Darkness in absolutely amazing makeup. It's just pretty cool. Yeah, I need to watch the director's cut of this movie because this version wasn't really a fan. Then I watched Klaus, and
Need to see it?
this was absolutely worth the wait. People have been gushing about the animation in this movie, how it's hand-drawn, but really meticulously shaded to look as though it's sort of 3D, and it's beautiful to look at. But not just that, it's really charming in terms of its voice acting, its writing, and how it puts a really clever spin on the origins of Santa Claus. Some music choices really kind of bothered me, and it did have a couple cliches that I rolled my eyes at, one in particular, but I highly recommend this movie. I really dug it, and it's an absolute must-watch.
I'm really
I mean,
looking forward to watching it, yeah.
Oh,
It's-
J.K. Simmons is in it.
yeah,
Rashida
it took me
Jones
forever
and-
to realize that. Like, I was like, oh, wait. Oh, fuck, that is J.K. Simmons. Yeah. And then finally I was on a movie high last night. Immediately after that, I watched Disney's Babes in Toyland. I mean, I have a lot on my Disney Plus watch list, I have to say. Odd place to start, I know, but Ray Bolger, come on. Ray Bolger's in it.
Mhm.
You know, Ray Bolger, the Scarecrow from Wizard
This
of Oz.
is true.
And he's really fun to watch in this. He's like the villain, and he really hams it up and has a lot of fun. And it gets to some points where they're clearly like, look, just watch Ray Bolger dance for 5 minutes. And it's super cheesy, super dated. The music was sometimes kind of catchy, but this was like Disney's first real attempt at a live action musical. But you could tell they hadn't quite nailed the formula yet, and they wouldn't for another 4 years when they made Mary Poppins. So this was like their sort of trial run. And yeah, it's all right. So that's my first time watches, and I'm going to leave the room real quick because I have some laundry waiting. So you guys proceed.
I'm actually going to go next because I have the shortest out of
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Gwendolyn.
So, okay, actually, technically, I first time watched, I'll count it as one. I saw the Elton John Farewell Yelbert Road tour, which came to Pittsburgh. It was on Wednesday. I can't do the math how long ago. I'm bad at math, people. 3 days ago.
Today's the 6th, so you'd be right.
It was mind-blowing. I am so fucking happy I got to see my idol live.
You're really lucky, Glenn. I would have killed to see that live.
It was fucking mind-blowing, and it meant the world to me that I was there, and that I just saw him do his thing, and he cried at one point during the show. I shit you not. I don't think I mentioned that. And honestly,
I saw that on your Twitter.
Yeah, because when you're performing in front of an audience that really loves your work, it's really hard not to get emotional. Like that, such diehard fans of you, and that you've done so much for people.
Yeah,
inspired so many people. It's really hard not to get emotional when you're up there. You know what I mean?
I probably would have cried as well if I were in his position.
Oh yeah, I was getting there.
And I love Elton as well. I would have gotten tickets for this movie if I weren't getting T-Pack season pass tickets. So
yeah, and it was an absolutely incredible experience, one that was worth all the money that we had to spend in order to get the tickets. It was mind-blowing and life-changing, and there's nothing like seeing Elton live. There's a difference between watching him just at home and just seeing him live. It is incredible, and holy fuck, I felt like many different emotions.
Just curious, Glenn, what songs did Elton play? Like you said, it was Yellow Brick Road. Was it the all the songs on Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album?
A lot of his most famous ones.
Saturday Night's Alright.
Yeah, Tiny Dancer, Rocket Man, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
I'm Still Standing.
Yeah. No, he did not play I'm Still Standing, surprisingly. But he played Daniel. And one of my favorites of his that I was not expecting to play was Leave On. So when that came on, I was happy that he played that. He played Someone Saved My Life Tonight. A few songs I surprisingly didn't recognize. You would think I would. Some massive, massive Elton fan. I haven't listened to every single one of his songs, people. Okay, so I will at some point for sure. He started out with Benny and the Jets, and then he just continued on. And yeah, and it was just such a beautiful, beautiful experience, and one that I'll never ever forget. Anyway, time to get into my actual watches of movies. But yeah, the Elton concert was fucking amazing. So in terms of movies, between this podcast and the last one, I have seen only 7 movies. Only watched 7 movies.
And one of them's technically not a film.
Yeah. Okay, so I saw Zombieland Double Tap. It was enjoyable. Not as good, not nearly as good as the first one. Not all the jokes work. But for a comedy sequel, as both a comedy sequel and a sequel to the first, and as a movie in general, it's enjoyable and better than it has any right to be. Surprisingly, for a movie that when I first saw the poster for, I thought it was a parody poster. And this isn't really too big of a spoiler, but seeing Bill Murray kill Bryce Randall was the highlight of my fucking week. And it's enjoyable, funny film that's a nice continuation of the first. And yeah, a better Ruben Fleischer film than Venom. Then the day afterwards, I saw The Addams Family with a friend. It's fine. It's insanely fucking cliched. The plot is basically the plot of like you've seen this movie before. Like it feels very, very like way too familiar. The plot feels like I could have sworn there was a movie with this exact same plot. Probably Ugly Dolls, but this movie is nowhere near as bad. Trust me, it's nowhere near as bad.
I did think it was.
It at least is somewhat enjoyable for most of it and has some fun moments. And the cast are all fucking great at their voices. Like this, the voice acting is great. Everyone's at their A game. Oscar Isaac is really wonderful. Chloe Grace Moretz was probably the best part. Charlize Theron's great. Nick Kroll was funny. Elsie Fisher was all great as always. Elsie Fisher Nation, rise up.
Did you compare the animation in this movie to like Minecraft animation videos?
It looked like some fucking. Okay, the worst part about the movie though, the thing that really pissed me off was the fucking animation is horrible. It's down. Like the actual designs of the Adams are great because I love how they like went with the designs of the older designs of the Adams from like I think the 30s. I love how they went with that. It's a very nice touch. But the actual animation, how everything moves, oh my god, it looks like a straight-to-video movie. It does not look like something that should be in theaters. If this exact movie, like, felt like a little bit less thematic and had no stars, it probably would have gone direct-to-video. Because holy fuck, the animation does not look like something that should be in theaters.
Is it made with Source Filmmaker?
Even SFM looks better than this shit. The designs of the humans are disgusting looking, and yeah, but I mean. it's an enjoyable enough film, but I don't really have faith in the. So this is the same animation studio that made Sausage Party. Not even just the same animation studio, the same directors, of course. And the animation of that movie looked also kind of not good. But at least the animation in that looked more like it.
Mannequin-like.
It looked more like it belonged in theaters than this, really, to be honest. At least that movie had a little bit more colors. Like I said, the voice cast is great. Everyone is very wonderful to watch. But the plot just feels way too familiar. Then, of course, I saw The Lighthouse. We already talked about that. Then a week later, I saw Jojo Rabbit. We've already talked enough about that. So yeah, a little bit after, like 5 days after, with a friend, first time watch, surprisingly, Blazing Saddles, and it was just as great as the hype leads you to believe. It's funny, smart, and it does everything right. And the people who say this movie is just only made to say the N-word are fucking idiots and completely missed the point of what the movie was even trying to say to begin with.
Probably haven't seen the movie themselves.
Well, that's also a very good point. It's very well written. The actors are all wonderful. The characters are all memorable. And yeah, it's amazing comedy. Then I saw Terminator Dark Fate, which enjoyable. I know I was the biggest defender of this movie, and Jeff surprisingly liked it even more than I did. I thought it was enjoyable. And I didn't really see too much of a problem with it. I don't really see why people put this movie down insanely, aside from it being a little bit derivative to, and maybe some of the effects and maybe the villain. The action is all really well done, if not a little bit too fast. I think Tim Miller's a very typical about Tim Miller, but he's a good director when it comes to the action. He films really big action sequences with no shaky cam, and they all feel very well filmed. And Mackenzie Davis is great. I love the leads. What's her name? Danny, Grace, both awesome. Sarah Connor's awesome. Nice to see her back. Linda Hamilton's great in her return. Arnold's good. It's a fun movie, and it's able to express the trauma of Sarah Connor in a well-done way. And it's nice to see a blockbuster that at least tries to do more than your average blockbuster, at least in my opinion. And it's a shame this movie's bombing hard.
Well, I think it's because people have been burned
Well,
so many
yeah.
times before already that by
Honestly,
the time there's actually a good one out, they just don't care anymore.
Honestly,
Plus, it wasn't marketed very well.
The marketing was terrible.
It looked like a Funny or Die sketch.
Yeah, the marketing movie was awful.
I completely agree with what Jeff's saying. With how people probably just don't care anymore about all that because we've been burned so many times. I could see that. I was the only one even talked about this movie. Period. Yeah, but it was enjoyable. It had a lot of the stuff that it did with the franchise, and it feels like the Terminator movie that we needed to really revamp the franchise. And I enjoyed it. Unpopular opinion, but I thought it was enjoyable. And then I watched the very, very controversial Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones special, which had some moments that made me laugh a lot. Had some moments that made me okay, you went too far, even though I know that's the point. I'm not trying to look, I don't get it. I got what Dave was saying. And honestly, I thought he made some good points in a lot of parts. And there were also some points where I thought he just came off like an idiot. I don't know.
Yeah, Gwen and I talked for a while about this movie last night, and we basically just kind of agreed on the same point that this movie is nowhere near as offensive as people made it out to be.
Honestly, I think the hate that Dave Chappelle got for this should be more so directed to Ricky Gervais, because Ricky Gervais is he makes transphobic jokes. But Dave Chappelle's jokes, they can be considered. I mean, they are offensive, and they can be considered
I like a lot of Ricky Gervais stuff, but he has very questionable jokes for sure.
I used to be a huge fan of him before all this shit went down. He used to be one of my favorite comedians before all this shit went down, and now
I don't even hate him. It's just that
at this point,
some of his jokes are really, bro.
Well, that and also the shit that he says on Twitter.
He kind of took it a little. It's a little much at times.
Like a fucking 5-year-old boy trapped in an adult's body.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, at least. Here's the thing. I don't believe Dave Chappelle's a transphobe. I don't believe it. Not only did he have a trans friend who sadly passed away. I'm not saying just because he has a trans friend doesn't mean he's a transphobe. I mean that's obviously an example of the I'm not racist, I have a black friend thing. But at the same time, I mean, I can tell it's a joke. I'm not it's a joke, bro. Chill, you SJW punk.
Apparently, this trans woman also found a lot of his trans jokes funny.
Yeah, and Did you watch H3? H3 talk about this on a podcast.
I didn't. No.
He brought up how a trans person told Dave Chappelle, so you joke about R. Kelly and you make him mainstream and acceptable, but you can't do the same for trans people.
Exactly.
It's an interesting point to think about, really.
Yeah, in some ways, but
yeah.
I think the important thing to realize is that anyone who is like an edgy or offensive comedian, like someone who like is intentionally pushing the envelope, can be edited out of context for anything. And not just Dave Chappelle. It applies to Bill Burr. It applies to Bo Burnham. It applies to Ricky Gervais.
Well, primarily Dave Chappelle, because I saw a Watch Mojo video of like top 10 reactions to Sticks and Stones, and they completely edited his clip where he says, "Don't watch Leaving Neverland" out of context. The way that they edited made it sound like he was like, "Don't watch this is bullshit," when in the actual special he was like, "Don't watch it, this is fucking gross." Like, joking about like how obviously disgusting graphic.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the point I was
obviously a
making
joke,
was
yeah.
more or less that any edgy comedian can be edited out of context, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
brought up Bill
I
Burr,
can
Bo
agree
Burnham,
with that.
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky
Whether
Gervais.
the jokes themselves are actually offensive or not, or whether the jokes are sincere, because
Yeah.
even in the case of Ricky Gervais, he doesn't believe half the shit he says. There's no way.
Well, I mean, that's debatable.
I'm not talking about the transphobe stuff. I'm talking about other things said. More specifically.
I mean, like some of the other offensive jokes he's made. I mean, you can tell that he doesn't believe this shit. But like, the fucking trans jokes he told the Golden Globes. If you look on his Twitter, you'll see that he is a huge transphobe. So I mean, With Dave Chappelle, I mean, like, here's the thing. My opinion on like, can comedy still be offensive, or at least push the envelope? I don't believe comedy is dying. I do not believe it. Whether or not you want to debate, I don't believe so-called woke culture is killing comedy. But I believe there is such a thing as too far. But I mean, like, we can still be edgy with our comedy.
Yeah.
But there's a certain way to really go about it. Or I don't know. In my opinion, like, you can't just say anything. Obviously.
For the record, just because something is like too far, I don't believe anyone should be censored because of that.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying this should be censored. I'm just saying more so like, like
it's just like
should they be allowed to say this thing, or like will this joke that they tell, be dangerous to can it have a dangerous effect on people? You know what I mean?
I'm just making the point that's like I don't think anyone should be censored because they're not PC or because they're offensive or whatever.
Well, it depends. If they're like actually homophobic or transphobic or racist or sexist, all that, then yeah, they should be censored. Like if they say,
I don't even agree with that, honestly, because like the thing is, you're gonna find some other way to find out what the person said anyway.
I meant like
so.
I don't know.
So I don't think that censorship is it's ineffective, honestly. And I'm not saying that like you should say whatever you want. No. Like you obviously should be careful with your words, but I don't think you should be censored because of it, because of what you say. But that's my whole takeaway. Sorry, but for interrupting, Gwen.
Oh, no, it's perfectly fine. In fact, I'm open to discussion. I mean, Dave Chappelle's always been an offensive comedian, but he's known like Chappelle's Show. That is some of like the funniest fucking sketches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I fucking love
the Clayton Bigsby one. The literal message is that racism is blind.
Exactly, and but the thing is, those skits are offensive as hell. But they were offensive in a way like kind of I guess you could say a way like South Park. Or like it's insanely offensive, but you can tell
there was an actual joke.
Yeah, you can tell it's a joke. You can't you're like I mean obviously
and an actual point.
Yeah, an actual point in a joke. Like it's more easy to tell. Like, but if someone like tells like an offensive joke like in a stand-up routine, here's the thing: the reason why South Park and even Chappelle's Show are probably less criticized by what some dude bros like call like woke culture, whatever you want to call it, is because really there's a difference between something you write for a show and something you tell directly in stand-up. Because stand-up, you write those jokes yourself, it's really you saying it. So this could be something that you probably believe because it's only you. It's not just like a whole group of writers, and you're writing it for characters to think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I get what you mean.
Like if you have a character in a movie, like say like an offensive joke, like there's a difference between like they could easily be just something the character says, but if you directly say it, they could easily be like, oh, is this person a transphobe or something like that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's a bit harder to probably tell an offensive joke in stand up than it is to like write it on like an episode of South Park, which is bad timing now because they just dropped an episode that is apparently transphobic.
Now, I'm not going to claim that episode is transphobic or not. I haven't seen it.
Well, I mean, I'm not claiming obviously because I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to claim anything yet.
Yeah,
I
don't think you should really. I think it's kind of pointless to complain about it unless you've actually seen the episode.
Well, I mean, obviously, I believe you should watch it before you really make a point. You know, I
Yeah,
don't have any
exactly.
I think everyone else should. You know, it's not fair to criticize something you haven't seen.
That's why I've really scathed off of saying anything about it. Like, I was going to, and then I was just like, it's not really worth it, but, you know.
I think Bill Burr and Bo Burnham are able to, and Eric Andre are, like, probably, like,
Yeah.
offensive jokes better at this point. Like, I really want to watch more of Dave Chappelle's stand-up specials. Maybe this wasn't the best introduction, because this is the one that he just, like, went full out. Whereas the other things I've seen of Chappelle, like, more so feel more like...
Bird Revelation, he's more subdued.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Like, in this one, he's, like, went all out. It's like, what's the most fucked up shit I could say? Like, just whatever came to his head, he'll say.
Even then, it was still funny.
I mean, yeah. Here's the thing. There's a lot of jokes in the special, even some of the offensive ones, made me laugh quite a bit. There were also some other ones, like the one where he compared transgender to transracial, like that. Yeah, it made me uncomfortable. But like some of the fucked up ones joke made me laugh in a way that's just kind of like you laugh and then you feel bad for it afterwards. And here's the thing: I am not easily offended. I am not gonna pretend like I'm just easily offended.
Me either.
I love Drawn Together. I love the Eric Andre show. I love Bill Burnham. I love Bill Burr. You know, I'm not the most easily offended, but at the same time, I believe, you know, we should be a little more careful with what we say in comedy. You know what I mean? Because you can easily say something insanely stupid and say something insanely hurtful. Like, I don't think
it's a necessity to be politically correct. Like,
I'm not even saying that.
I think political correctness, honestly, it's just like toxic. Like, yeah, you should already know that these things are, you know, shouldn't be said. And you should already know that there's a time and a place for these things. So why do you need, like, a set of guidelines to say, hey, this is what you say instead of this? It's like, okay, why do you even need that?
I'm not saying you have to completely water down your comedy or, like, completely make it, like insanely PC. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like...
Yeah, exactly.
Know the difference between a joke and hate speech is what I'm saying. You know what you're saying. Like, think before you speak.
Yeah.
But Dave Chappelle just doesn't give a fuck. And the thing is, one thing about the criticism about Dave Chappelle is, like he just doesn't give a fuck. Like, that's not his persona. I doubt he really cares about everything. So, I mean, I mean, like, it was an enjoyable special. Even the more fucked up ones, like, they got to me a bit, but not to the point where, I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't think Dave Chappelle's a transphobe or a rapist or anything.
He's a supporter of the LGBT community, and he has been for years.
Yeah, I know. I've seen him do that. Yeah, I've seen that he supports the LGBTQ. In fact, he even says in the special he has friends who are. I mean, not. I mean, like, obviously not to the point where, like.
Or it completely excuses him, but like.
Yeah. That does not excuse him. I'm just saying, like, I do believe that he does support the community. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I don't believe, like, in fact, even with his jokes, even insanely fucked up way he jokes about things, I'm not picturing it as like, oh, I hate these people. I'm just like, I have this fucked up joke. Let me tell it.
Exactly. That's what I think his thing is. His whole shtick.
Yeah, this whole thing. And and he really just does not give a fuck.
So I guess it's my turn for first time watches. All right, so first I kind of want to talk about a couple of plays for context. I got season pass tickets for TPAC or Tennessee Performing Arts Center, and the reason I got them was so that I could get tickets to go see Hamilton at a cheaper price because I love Hamilton and I really want to see it live. So yeah, I'm like a theater kid. Like, yeah, Hamilton's unironically great. Fuck y'all. I saw Once on This Island. It's good. You know, it's a solid musical. It's really short, but like it's kind of tribal-esque thing, like Islander. And just recently, I also saw SpongeBob the Musical, which is first of all, Mrs. Puff did not get thick, like the tweet suggested. But in all seriousness, it's kind of weird. So to explain this, there's things that you can do in film and animation that you can't do in theater. Animation, you can obviously like just do whatever you want, and with film, you can cheat with editing and like camera angles and stuff. But with theater, you can't do that. So You know how in SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs kind of walks because like his feet kind of spin in a way, or they have the illusion of spin. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't do that in theaters. So what they tried to do was they tried to make him kind of walk sideways ish like a crab, but then they immediately go from that to he's just walking normally. And then with Plankton, they started out like having him as like a puppet behind like a copy of the Chum Bucket, and then they turn around and they have Plankton as just like a normal sized human being, and it just really throws you off because again, there's things that you can't do in theater that you can do in movies and animation.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the thing about it. And also Karen. Karen is just like a full-on human being in this thing. Like she's dressed in like a platinum dress, and there's like a side elements of Plankton and Karen having a broken marriage, which is basically just their relationship in the show, and they carry it over here. I don't know, it's kind of weird. And it's so weird seeing like the way they did like SpongeBob, and with Patrick they had like a button-down Hawaiian shirt on him for some reason. I don't really know why. And Pearl didn't even look like Pearl. I do like what they did with Squidward though. For Squidward, they had fake legs attached to the other pants. Like I thought that was clever that they did with that. But yeah, SpongeBob the musical was it was fun. It was a little weird. I have tickets for Cats.
Go.
I don't.
Oh.
I don't.
Go.
I don't know if I want to go. Because the thing is, like,
Climax with cats
I got
and furries.
Cats directed by Gaspar Noé. Okay, I would actually see that.
I actually want to see that.
Climax, but as furry porn.
But like I only have these season pass tickets to go see Hamilton, so I'm like, I guess.
Oh, well, okay.
So like, I guess I can go see Cats, but like,
No. If that's the case, hey, go see Hamilton. I mean, I haven't even seen Hamilton, but that's obviously
I don't even know much about
the
it.
better choice.
I still might go see it just for the hell of it. Just be like, you know what? I want to go see how much of a disaster this thing is.
I mean, I don't want you to go see it and then want to kill me afterwards.
I saw.
I mean, you're seeing the movie.
Ironically, but
I saw a taped production of the movie.
just watch
Or, no,
the
not
tape
the movie. Fuck.
production. It's online.
No, I saw like a taped production of the play at my chorus class, and it was like, I was like freaked out because I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
I imagine that.
It was quite odd.
Getting on to films now, Filmaze. I watch this movie called Assassin, which is a film by my buddy Ethan Stevens. Shout out to you if you're somehow listening to it. Yeah, it's a pretty solid debut. I haven't seen the movie, but it's supposed to be kind of like Bottle Rocket in a sense. It's kind of
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of quirky and like it's pretty interesting. And and Ethan, if you're somehow listening to this, good job, man. I didn't review it on Letterboxd.
I think I follow him. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm in a group chat with him, and I think Mark is in it as well.
Oh, neato.
For filmmakers. Then I watched The Art of Self-Defense.
Yes.
Nice.
By you and Jeff. Yeah, it's awesome. Jesse Eisenberg is fucking great, and it's a really weird film. Like I didn't know what I was expecting going into it, and thank goodness I did not watch the trailer.
Oh
yes.
I still haven't even watched it.
The trailer is.
I dare you.
It's like why? It's a really really fun. I don't know if I should say fun. Like
fucked up and twisted, kind of like.
Yeah, it's fucked up and it's twisted. It reminded me a lot of Dogtooth, oddly enough. Well, not Dogtooth, but the Lobster, in a sense.
It's very Lanthimosian.
Where, like, it's just, like, it's clearly a satire, and it's just so, like, weird, where you don't really know what you're watching. And I love The Lobsters. Probably my favorite movie of 2016. But, like, it's just so... And you also... said Sorry to Bother You. I didn't get the Sorry to Bother You comparisons too much. Well, I guess
kind of like in terms of like the satirical vibes.
Yeah,
and also
the social commentary. Whereas with Sorry to Bother You was more of like racism and like capitalism. This is more about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Which there's definitely a lot of elements of in this movie, but I don't. And it's kind of like the underlying themes of the film. Yeah, it's kind of like you're just watching a really bizarre film, but I love it. And then continuing on with the Halloween challenge that I did not get to finish, unfortunately, I watched Cabin Fever, which was okay. Like, it was just kind of an excuse to get a bunch of kids out in the woods and, like, have these girls take their clothes off and have sex with these guys and get scared and, get murdered and all this stuff. It's kind of like a funny thing. There are some parts that were funny, some parts where I was just like, eh. It was really just like milquetoast type thing. I watched Zombieland Double Tap. It's kind of like Kingsman 2 in the sense.
Oh no.
Okay, well, to be fair, I don't really hate Kingsman 2.
Oh, I do.
But I compare it to Kingsman 2 not in the sense of quality, but more of the sense of like the first film was a spoof that really worked, and then they do a sequel where they're really just embracing what the first one was making fun of in that sense. And there's not really much that's worth talking about. Like, yeah, like the original characters are good. Like, Emma Stone's nice to look at. But
of course you word it that way.
the only other two things in this film that I think are worth mentioning for me is like one, watching Bill Murray kill Grace Randolph. Someone had to do it. Somebody had to do it. And then the other thing is like, it was cool to see Beck from Victorious on the big screen. So like, yeah. I forget the actor's name, but yeah, my boy Beck is in this movie, and he barely has any screen time. And I kind of expected from the trailer that he'd be in the movie a lot. I don't know if that was mismarketing. Well, it was kind of mismarketed, but I don't know if that was like intentional. Like, yeah, you remember this dude from this popular Nickelodeon show that you liked? Come see the movie because he's going to be in it, and then he's in the movie even less than Sam Rockwell is in Vice. So like, I don't know where that came from, but yeah, it's fine. I'm probably never going to see it again, but yeah, it's like whatever, milk toast type movie.
Do you just refer to every movie as milquetoast?
Yeah, pretty much. Shout out to Kyle Kalinske because that's who I stole it from.
Well, I mean, Jack introduced you to that term. I remember.
No, he didn't.
No, I mean, didn't. No, I remember Jack brought it up, and then you started using it a lot more.
No, I got it from this this dude named Kyle Kalinske. Then I watched Carrie, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, I'm talking about the original and not the one with Chloe Grace Moretz, which is and yeah, it's really great. I'm really liking Brian De Palma. I think he might be one of my favorite directors now.
He's awesome.
John Travolta is in this movie for a little bit.
Back when his first films.
Was in good movies.
Yeah, and Sissy Spacek, she's like amazing in this movie, and she's a great actress in general. But like,
oh yeah,
damn.
And she got an Oscar nom for this, which crazy for a horror film.
Sissy Spacek is like a fucking amazing filmography. She was in this. She worked in early works of Malick and Altman.
Yeah, she was in Three Women. But yeah, Carrie is pretty great, very suspenseful. My second favorite Stephen King adaptation, first one obviously being The Shining, but like The Shining is like hard to beat. Then I watched Scenes from a Marriage by Ingmar Bergman, and let me just tell you, if you really want to break my heart in some way, make a movie about a couple going through a divorce, because god damn it.
Well, Noah Baumbach also answered that for you.
Well, I mean, he did that a long time ago with Squid and the Whale.
Ah, yeah, true.
That movie broke me too. Scenes from a Marriage, it's kind of it's a film where you're watching it and you're just like, especially if your parents divorced. I know Gwen, your parents divorced recently.
Yeah.
My parents divorced when I was 5, and I don't remember it very much.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's fine. But like, I'll never know what their relationship was like back then when they were still married. But like, I don't want to imagine that it was like the couple's relationship in this film, because it's like, God, it's very, very depressing, and there are scenes where you're just like, wow, you really had to get me there, didn't you? Scenes from a Marriage. My favorite Bergman, though I've only seen 2 Bergmans, this and Persona. Scenes from a Marriage is amazing. I watched 35 Shots of Rum by Claire Denis Villeneuve. and
God damn it.
but yeah, this is also a great film. I was going to watch Beau Travail. I think that's how you say it.
Beau Travail.
Beau Travail, excuse me. But I couldn't find a copy of it anywhere. There was a DVD that had English subtitles that was $80.
Oh.
Damn.
And I was just like, and it was on British Prime Video, but it wasn't on American Prime Video. I was like, fuck. And I can't find a copy of this movie anywhere that has English subtitles. So I was like, I guess I gotta watch another thing. And I saw this was on Criterion Channel, even though it's not on the collection, but I don't know, whatever. And yeah, it's really good. I would not put it as high as High Life, no pun intended, or Trouble
You
Every
totally
Day.
intended that. Come on.
I wasn't even thinking about that. It's still a great film. It's just a very human story, about this poor black couple in Paris. Where and it's like Magnolia in a sense where it follows like several different characters. Not as many though. It did feel kind of Altman-esque in certain scenes, which is a compliment. Altman's my favorite director, so that's more like a compliment to it. But yeah, I mean, 35 Shots of Rum is very it's a very human story, and I love it. And then, per Jeff's recommendation, and also Hayden Elmore's recommendation, I watched Daisies.
Yes.
This movie is it's a drug trip.
I know, right?
So there's a scene that's kind of towards the end of the movie. This movie is only 70-something minutes, I think.
And
But
every
there's
single one of them is insane.
There's like a scene at a dinner table, and there's a bunch of food on it, and these 2 girls, they just start eating all the food and dancing on the table, and what it leads to is like you're just like, what the fuck am I watching? It reminded me of House in some ways.
Yeah.
I have to imagine House was inspired by this film. Yeah, I want to watch this movie while tripping on acid, even though I'll probably die. Then I watched Ace in the Hole, which is great. Billy Wilder, of course, he does a great job with movies. This is his weakest film, but that's saying not much at all. Yeah. Let's just say that. Ace in the Hole is it's one of those movies about like the press in the sense, and it's very different than what you would expect from a movie like Network or All the President's Men or Good Night and Good Luck, where it's not about like exposing a giant scandal. It's more or less about the journalist creating a scandal and kind of meddling with the story in order to get like a juicy reaction from people. And it's very, very interesting.
I can't wait. That sounds awesome.
Unfortunately, it's not on Criterion Channel. It is on. It took me a while to actually find it, but once you find it, I think it's worth watching for sure. Watch Parasite, talk enough about that. Watch The Lighthouse, talk enough about that. And then I watched The Perfect Date, starring Noah Centineo.
Why?
And the chick from Austin and Ally, whatever her name is. She's also in Lady Bird. And for context, I'm going to see if I can sit through every Noah Centineo movie.
Why?
Why? Why would you do this to yourself?
Morbid curiosity. And I think Noah Centineo is my least favorite actor.
Of all time?
He is awful. Oh my God.
I don't understand why they're trying to make him a thing. He's not even that hot.
Jeez, Jeff. Okay, so like when the whole Spider-Man thing happened, I had a dream where like I was at a board and they said, all right, we're going to reboot Spider-Man and we're going to get Noah Centineo to play Peter Parker.
I think that's more of a nightmare.
Yeah, that was more of a nightmare. And I was like, no, what are you doing?
Isn't he supposed to be playing He-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They're trying to make that a thing.
He's also in Charlie's Angels, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
The new one that nobody is seeing.
Yeah. Perfect Date is just, it's, oh god, it's insufferable. It is insufferable. Like, part of the way through the movie, I was just like, I think I should just quit. Why the fuck not? It was bad. It was really bad. It's like a parody. This movie's like a parody of what my parody of movies that teenage girls like. It's like my parody of those. Then I watched A Brighter Summer Day, which is amazing. So it's almost 4 hours long, but it's worth it. If you can manage to sit through the whole thing, it's really worth it. I sat through it in 2 sittings, but it was like beautiful. And there are a lot of emotional moments. It's more than a movie. It's like an experience. Like you're experiencing something happening before your eyes. It's on Criterion Channel. I plan to watch EE on there soon, so yeah, that will definitely be fun. Yeah, EE. And then next in my Noah Centennial marathon, I watched Sierra Burgess is a Loser, starring knockoff Elsie Fisher. Yeah. I mean, what more do I need to say about this?
She looks like dollar store brand Elsie Fisher.
I watched this movie while drunk, and that was probably a good decision. Then I watched Swiped, which is just Christian Mingle, but Netflix edition. And I mean, like, the movie Christian Mingle. It's just, oh my god. I'm not even gonna talk about it.
This fucking poster's giving me AIDS.
For Swipe.
Yes, this fucking poster is giving me like 10 diseases.
It's bad.
It's so fucking awful. Is this a real poster? This has to be a joke. This can't be a real poster. Is this real?
I think it's the real poster.
Please tell me.
It has a 0.9 rating on Letterboxd.
This has to be a joke. My friend Ethan likes it, surprisingly. I have no idea what this poster is, but it makes me want to commit uninstall life.
It's all these Netflix movies, like the kids who live in these rich ass fucking houses, like even in Perfect Date, like the main character's supposed to be poor, but then you look at this house, it's like no, you live in an upper middle class house. Stop fooling us, bro. Like, come on, stop fucking fooling us. It's like when Rice Gum tried to do the thing, like, oh, I'm normal, I'm like you guys, and then he shoots like a skit in his giant fucking mansion.
Damn, you're comparing this movie to Rice Gum. Must be that bad.
I mean, Noah Centineo kind of looks like Rice Gum. So,
damn.
I am evil.
No, fuck you, Noah Cilantro.
So after Swiped, I watched a good movie that was also recommended by my boy Jeff. Polyester.
Oh, yay.
What?
Appropriate reaction.
So, this movie's directed by John Waters, who, I saw his version of Hairspray, the non-musical one. It was, fine. And then I watched Polyester, and I'm like, what the fuck?
This is like his break into the mainstream.
Did Gaspar Noé try to make a movie and then studios interfered with it to make it more audience-friendly or something? What the hell is this movie? I'm trying to figure out what happened. Just did that actually happen?
Yes, it did.
It's so weird, but I love it. I was just it's so weird, but I love it. I love it. I love it. Then I watched Thirst by Park Chan-wook. And I think it's probably the best vampire movie we're ever going to get.
Only Lovers Left Alive.
Okay, I haven't seen that, to be fair, but I plan to. It's really, really interesting. So, Park Chan-wook, his films tend to have a theme of, sexuality. And his films, Old Boy is a great example. Handmaiden is a great example of this. And this one, the context is, the main character is a priest who's just trying to swear off all sexual interactions. And he kind of has this relationship with this vampire, and it's kind of, you could say it gets kind of excessive, but there's clearly a point to it. There's a point to be made with this film and its content. And I think the film really succeeds at making you disturbed. It's kind of like The Lighthouse in the sense that it's not scary, but it's disturbing. And it's a great movie. I highly recommend watching it if you can find it. But yeah, Thirst. And this also it has the dad in Parasite from Parasite in it.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that a second ago. Yeah.
He's amazing. And then I watched Loose.
Oh yes.
It was
Me too.
like, yeah, it was great. Like, it has a lot of layers, like an onion. Why? Okay, all right. In all seriousness, though, it's like it's really layered, and at times it just kind of pulls the rug out from under you. And even at the end, you don't really know who you're supposed to believe.
Exactly.
You don't know which side is right because they're both Octavia Spencer and Kelvin Harrison Jr. are both of their characters are just giant pricks. So you don't really like either one of them, but you don't know which one is right, and that's something I love about it.
Yeah, the ambiguity is just brilliant.
Performances are wonderful. Naomi Watts.
Oh,
Spencer.
Octavia Spencer in this.
Mhm.
She is fucking phenomenal.
No Ma though.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Ma memes will never get old.
Midsommar.
Fuck off. Okay, now they're old. Fuck you.
Okay, I'm done. In all seriousness, Naomi Watts and Tim Roth are great as usual. And this Kelvin Harrison Jr. guy, man, get this man some fucking work.
I know, he's so fantastic.
He's crazy. He's crazy talented. Like, I would love to cast him in one of my films if I ever got the chance to make one.
What, you don't want to cast Noah Centineo?
Okay. But yeah, Loose. It's really well written. Well, it's one of my favorite screenplays of the year for sure.
Oh yeah, it's so great.
A huge hit at a Sundance too. And yeah, this is a great film. What else do you want me to tell you?
Is it nearly as great, nearly as hard hitting, and nearly as powerful?
Don't say it. Don't
as
say it.
The
Say it.
director's previous film.
Don't. Don't.
Fuck you, George. I said it.
All right.
You had to.
All right. That's it.
Fuck you, George.
I'm getting nukes sent to your house right now.
Fucking
fucker.
try me. You're lucky I'm like states away. You can't do shit.
Finally, a film I just watched today, Election, a movie where Reese Witherspoon is good.
Wait, you
There's
mean
like
you're implying
several
she isn't?
George, you've seen Big Ol' Lies and you're willing to tell me Reese Witherspoon isn't a good actress?
Okay, look, Reese Witherspoon is talented, but like she's in a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, okay, I can.
And movies where she is not good, like Walk the Line. Like why did she win an Oscar for Walk the Line instead of this?
She's gonna walk the line.
I beg to differ. But
I mean, not Oscar worthy, but she was.
In Election, she's great, and Matthew Broderick is great as well. And wait, who else is in this movie? Because like Chris Klein, Alexander Payne did it, and it's like this movie is like obviously it's like a satire of like American elections and all that stuff, all that jazz.
By Bob Fosse.
Stop! You're about to ruin my favorite movie, Gwen.
It's already been ruined when you find out what Bob Fosse did. Hey-oh.
Well, we all know Bob Fosse wasn't exactly a.
I know.
That's kind of what all that jazz was about.
I'm just messing with you.
You should probably go read my review if you really want to find out what my joke, because I don't feel like reading it right now. But Election, it's a very interesting film. Very well acted, very well written film. And Jack talks about it a lot. And yeah, it's a really funny movie. I'll say that much. It's a funny movie. If you enjoy like Alexander Payne's other movies, like Sideways or I haven't seen Sideways, or The Descendants, I think you'll really like it. I haven't seen all of his stuff, but I like what I've seen for the most part. And
the last two I just gotta watch, I think, are Election and Sideways. I think there's one other one I gotta watch. But
Have you seen Nebraska?
Yeah, I've seen Nebraska.
I've seen
Nebraska is great.
I haven't seen Downsizing or About Schmidt.
I've heard not so great things about Downsizing.
The first two acts build to potential, but the third act just kind of squanders it. But even then, I thought it was a fine. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as everyone was saying. I can't tell if it's because I love the concept so much that I was just willing to put up with anything. But it was really the third act that really made me like, y'all got a bit too preachy there.
Yeah, and I saw his like Criterion Closet video. It's like, he's like, and he's a very good director, good writer. Yeah, Election. And that's, I guess, what I've got for first time watches. I rambled on for most of it. But hey, that's what I got.
All right.
Well, I think that's it. I think that's the podcast. That's live.
All right. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for putting up with our bullshit.
I was
And
about to say that, you fucking idiot. No, I'm kidding.
Hey,
You're not an idiot. You're smart.
you were taking too long. I had to fill in.
Bruh. Just kidding, bro. I love you. In fact,
I love you too.
you should probably take over so I'm not that good anyway.
Oh, come on. Like, I mean, that would just be stealing.
All I do is just spout bullshit memes. That's a good thing.
That's all we do.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but take pride in it.
thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys, gals, non-binary pals for listening in. Make sure to hit us up on our social medias. George, fuck you for posting on the Skype chat, you son of a bitch.
Jeff needs to put that. I need
I'm
to put that.
going to put that in
Might as
there.
well include it at the end just so we can show the people what we're looking at right now. Yeah, this is an image that exists. Anyway, see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.
Good night.